T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to What's the Obsession, a channel that respects both victim families. We ask that you do the same in chat and in your comments.
Okay, everybody. So welcome back to What's the Obsession live stream and chat. And can we just have a sound check? I just got a new microphone and sometimes that goes well and sometimes it doesn't. So please let me know if you can hear me okay and how everything sounds. So welcome everybody that is here tonight. We are going to talk about the Watts case. So we've been talking about a few other cases recently. I've been really stuck on the Micah Miller case, so to speak, and finding justice for Micah. So I just want to say, if anybody does want to donate to the family for legal funds in the Micah Miller case, so they can try to find justice for their sweet daughter, sister, friend, you can do that at justiceformicah.com. So they are going up against somebody who has a ton of financial backing. He has all of his money in the, church that he runs. It's $5.9 million worth of wealth that should be, as Micah said, God's money that was given to them from the hands of people, because God put that money in the hands of people, and those people put that money in the hands of, JP and Micah, and entrusted them to do the right thing with it. Well, as we all know, JP did not do the right thing with it. So Micah's family is really, going up against, some big, well-financed adversary there. So if you would like to help out that family, please go to justiceformicah.com. And also half of the revenue for this week in May from this channel, I'm going to donate with receipts to Justice for Micah. So there's a couple of ways. So just, watching, watch hour, super chats, memberships, whatever it is, half of it's going to go to Justice for Micah. So however you would like to contribute, if you can, is great. And if you can't, that's totally good too. Please do not feel bad about that. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad about that. For sure. So Miss Madge, welcome, new member. Awesome. Welcome. So glad to have you. And let's see, Barb Sneeringer. Am I saying that right, Barb? I hope that I am, but welcome. We're so glad you're here. And then also Whoopsie-doo. Beach Bum. Welcome, Beach Bum. That is a familiar name. Beach Bum, how are you doing? And Cynthia Merritt, so glad you got that figured out. Yeah, and moderators, the link that I posted for channel membership, that is like the good link that I have like in my studio. So if someone can just like kind of grab that and hold on to it, and that's one that we can always post, it's going to work. And Karen Merchant, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope everyone is having a great day. How is everyone doing today? You guys doing good? Happy Friday. If you're in the United States, we are embarking on a Memorial Day weekend. So we remember those who served the country in the armed forces and otherwise. And I hope you guys are all looking forward to a nice long weekend. Yeah, I definitely am. So, hey guys, I'm not going to go through and say hi to everybody individually because I know I'm already starting late, like usual. But I see you guys, and I'm so glad you guys are all here. Nadie says, new here, Kelly, but I've been binging your videos. Awesome. I hope you're enjoying. Love your channel. And I see my Suspicious and Muck Boys in chat. Hey, yeah, they are two of the channel moderators. We love our Suspicious and Muck Boys. Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you found us here. Okay, I'll take this question. Zelda. I love Zelda, by the way, the video game that was one of my favorite games when I was younger, and it's come back. It's been it's resurfaced in its new, I don't know, embodiment. And my son plays it all the time, but your name is probably Zelda, which is a beautiful name anyway, but I couldn't help think of Zelda, the other Zelda. What's with the what stuff? It's happened years ago. I'm here just to make sure. Didn't miss anything. Can't wait for more content. News about his unalived. I blame his mom and sister. Dad is co-addict. Well, okay, so I'm definitely not saying that there's any news about this case. No, there's definitely not. So I don't want to give anybody that false idea. This is not like some false pretense clickbait kind of situation. We don't do that here. But we are talking about, things that we have deep dived into in this case, because I truly believe, as do a lot of people here, and if you don't believe that, that's okay. You can still be here. It's all good. That there are major issues of incomplete justice in this case, and that there is somebody out there in this world that has criminal liability in this case, who is walking free and was treated like a princess, really, which would be fine if she deserved that. Treating people good is a great thing. But, until complete justice is found for the victims, there's always going to be something that feels a little bit wrong and off about this case. So that is what we are doing here. And I'm so glad you're here, Zelda. Zelda, welcome. I just wanted to explain that because I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea here. Also, I just want to mention that one of the, on this channel, I like to give people a lot of liberty to speak your mind and to talk amongst each other and express your opinions and, work things out. We are all grown adults, and, having that kind of healthy discourse, even if sometimes it is a passionate or heated debate, I think is an absolutely okay thing. And over the course of 3 years since I've had this channel, I've seen so many people come around and understand one another's perspectives and come to a more, rational perspective themselves, because some people do come in here batshit crazy. Let's be real, guys. And that's by, me not, telling them what they can and can't say or what they should or shouldn't think or interfering. But the one thing that I do ask, please, is to respect both victims' families. I do consider the Watts families, they're victims. They are, they lost so much too. So let's just try to be respectful of both of those families. We absolutely love and respect the R family, and, to Mrs. R, I'm so sorry that there's, some YouTuber out there that keeps dragging her back into the ugliest, depths of possibilities of this case, into things that aren't even really happening. But we're not going to go there tonight. We love the R family, and we love the Watts family too. And we just want to keep it respectful and compassionate towards those families. Okay. So, yeah, Jay Lord says they are victims on many different levels. Yeah, there's so many victims. There's so many, casualties. There's so many, it's not the right word. There's so many victims in this case. There's so many people who are touched by this case. I mean, we talked about this on this channel time and time again, and I'm sure many of you have come to this own realization on your own that this case, there's an X factor about it. There's something that is different about this case. It touches people in a way that is unique and profound. And, that's just what's up with it. We may not always understand it, but we do know that that is the case. Yeah. I'm never going to be able to say your name. I'm just going to call you Ag. Says, I have compassion for the Watts family. That's awesome. And Honeybon, my girl, says, whoop, she say, and then we're going to get into stuff here. Kelly, we know who we are and what this channel is about. I hate that you have to clarify this. I know, I do too sometimes, but it is one of those necessary evils, right? But it does, yeah, I've definitely found that. Oh, wow, Edward, that's crazy. Media, the creative agency, says there will be no additional justice as NK was the witness who gave Rourke the bombshell, quote unquote. She was a cooperating witness and would have testified if this wasn't pleaded out. She was a manipulator. Damn, Skippy, she was a manipulator. Yes, she was. Hey, Zest for Life, how are you doing? It's all good, Zelda. It's okay. It just made me think of it when you said that. I don't want you to think that was directed to you at all. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like we can be real about it at the same time. I mean, Shanann didn't have a fighting chance with Cindy Watts. I mean, Cindy Watts decided that she did not like her straight from the go, whether it was, warranted or not. If it was myself, who knows what I would do? My son is almost 16 years old. I would like to think that even, if I wasn't so fond of, even for legitimate reasons, the person that my son chooses to be with for the rest of his life, that I would try. And by all means, I know I'd show up to the wedding. There'd be nothing that would stop me just from a baby, right? But people are different and they make different decisions. But we do know that Shanann did not have a fighting chance with Cindy Watts. She just made up her mind that she was never going to accept her. And that must have been really, really hard for Shanann. I definitely do understand that. Absolutely it was. I can't imagine, she was really up against some difficult things. Local Jazz Hand says, I've never been obsessed with a case before. This one is next level. Well, welcome to Watts the Obsession. That's right. Mark Pickering says, it's all the lies I can't get past. Ready for the whole truth. Me too. Great statement, Mark. And Kathy, thanks for becoming a member and welcome. Have I lost my mind or is the live not started yet? It started. We're here, right? Okay, it's 10:32. It started. We're all here with you, Beach Bum. No, I get that, Shanann. I get that, J Lord. I get that. Yeah, there's so many family dynamics, interpersonal relationship dynamics that we could talk about with these two families. It's crazy. But all right, what we're going to do today is, okay, so I told you guys last time we had a Watts Live, I have recreated the official discovery timeline. And I get it. People will say, oh, you think you know better than law enforcement? Well, I don't think I know better than law enforcement, but I do think that I have been able to, from after studying this case so intensely and so thoroughly for, a period of time, I think I am able to identify what law enforcement's intentions were to some degree. Not completely. I certainly am not saying that I could do better than them. Like I am, better skilled than them. Well, maybe a couple of them, but never mind. That's a special case because I think they did a piss poor job on some things. But it's become clear that there are certain things that they wanted to highlight and there are certain things that they wanted to hide. This clarity is led by District Attorney Rourke, who really is a fumbling goofball in some regards. And thanks to his wife's podcast, The Survivor's Guide to True Crime, where he really just screwed up, I carry a new torch for District Attorney Rourke, and it's not the lovable kind. But we are able to see, that there were certain things that were omitted from the discovery timeline, from the discovery altogether. There are certain categories that were, overtly avoided here. Let me just bring up my little visual for you guys here. And then we're going to have to endure listening to some Nicole Kessinger speaking. So if that bothers you, go put on your earmuffs. All right, let's see. Which one is the, okay, I think this is the most updated one. Yeah, okay, there's one amendment to it, but that's okay. So let me just open. All right. Okay, great. All right, let me bring this into the stream here. And welcome to everybody who's just coming in. Come on in, get comfortable. We are so glad you're here. And thank you, moderators, so much. I know that the Watts live streams are always a little tough for you guys, and I really appreciate you more than you know. Okay, so here's a little visual timeline of, did that come through for you guys? Let me see. All right, let me take the chat down. Let me take that down. Bring this up. All right, so this is a visual timeline of these days that are noted here in August. So we have the 8th of August, 8/8 through 8/14. So we see that the Watts family comes home from North Carolina on the 7th of August. I didn't scale this timeline correctly. That's why there's a diagonal line kind of indicating over to the 7th. Now, what's interesting is Bella and Celeste and Shanann are home for a total of 2 nights. And then Shanann leaves for Arizona to go on that Thrive trip, as we all know about, that she was away for a few days. Nicole Atkinson picked her up at like 4:30 in the morning. She was home for like not even 2 days. All right. So for the duration of time when Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts were dating, according to them, according to their timeline, which was 6 weeks, of those 6 weeks, Nicole Kessinger only had to deal with Shanann with the wife being home for 2 days, because we know that so sadly, when she got back, when she arrived home back to Saratoga Trail, back to her family, on the it was the 13th by the time she got home because the plane was delayed. Her life was quickly taken within a matter of moments, minutes, hours, or something like that, right? Now, we see that the family came home from North Carolina on the 7th. So since we know that their lives were tragically ended on the 13th, Bella and Celeste were only home with Chris Watts in Colorado for a total of 5 nights during the duration of the relationship, according to them, between Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger. So we just want to note that when she makes reference to, I always encouraged him to be with his kids, when the kids were around, I want him to be with the kids. And, when he was on the phone with me and his wife was home, it was like he had total free liberty range. He could do whatever he wanted. Well, she was only there for less than 48 hours of the total duration of their relationship. So we know that's bullshit right off the bat. Okay. But more importantly, with this visual here, on the top half of that timeline, those are things that are included in the official Discovery timeline. So after we have Shanann leaves for Arizona, then we have NK and Chris Watts. They have dinner at the Lazy Dog. And it's either 2 or 4 minutes after Chris Watts leaves her house, after dropping her off after that dinner, she swiftly Googles Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, Ronnie Watts, and 2825 Saratoga Trail. And we talked about why that is, and we can talk about it again. And then we have on the 13th, in the early morning hours of the 13th, we have Nate's security camera catching Watts loading his truck and then taking off for Survey 319. Now, the items that are at the bottom of the timeline that are in the pinkish colors are things that we know that happened, but they are not on the official Discovery timeline. Like, what the heck? It's so crazy. Nicole Kessinger is filling that Discovery timeline all throughout. In fact, as I've mentioned many a times, the very first event on that Discovery timeline is Nicole Kessinger searching for Shanann Watts on September 1st of 2017, about 9 months before Nicole and Chris even say that they met. Now, notably, we also know that Nicole Kessinger searched for Chris Watts about a month prior to that, which would be August. I think it was August 7th of 2017. So that's about 10 months before they said they even met. But that is not what leads off the official Discovery timeline. What heads off that official Discovery timeline is one item: Nicole Kessinger's search for Shanann Watts on September 1st of 2017. It's so significant. Much can be said about that. We will go back to that in a little bit. And from that very first timeline event, Nicole Kessinger appears, copious amount of times. Like, I think I said scores of times. I didn't actually count it, but it's a lot throughout the official Discovery timeline, which ends, a few days after the tragedy. But all of a sudden, after this event here that is in yellow, Nicole Kessinger Googles, it's Chris Watts too, but my box wasn't big enough to fit him. So let's get rid of him because he's a dirty bastard anyway. But Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, Ronnie Watts, and 2825 Saratoga Trail. All of a sudden, there is no more mention of Nicole Kessinger until the evening of the 13th. So for about 36 hours, the 36 hours that is, like the day prior to this tragedy happening, and then the about 12 hours after, Chris Watts leaves 2825 Saratoga Trail, take off for Survey 319, Nicole Kessinger, all of a sudden, she is like banned, blocked off, does not appear in that official Discovery timeline. Like, what? Wait, oh my God. Where did Skanky and Banana go? Where is she? Where did she go? Well, luckily we know that she pinged in Frederick, Colorado, within 300 to 400 yards of the Watts residence at 6:16 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. So we didn't lose her completely, guys. Don't get too worried. But aside from that, we don't know where she is. Even when Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger had that 111-minute phone conversation that Kevin Kobach asked about during his series of horrible interviews at least 9 times that I counted, that 111-minute phone call is not on the official Discovery timeline. Other things that aren't on the Discovery timeline are Shanann Watts made 2 Facebook posts around 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday, August 12th, just saying, I'm so excited to go home and see my girls and to see Chris. And then the other one was about feeling the baby kicking. Now we know, because Nicole Kessinger was so good at Google searching Shanann Watts, and the thing that came up when you searched her was her Facebook page. We know that Nicole Kessinger saw that, right? But those posts are not on the official Discovery timeline. Another thing that is not on the official Discovery timeline, and it just so happens that everything I'm talking about right here is on Sunday, the 12th, the eve of the murders, is Nicole Kessinger tells CN, that's Charlotte Nelson, I couldn't remember that last time we talked about it, about Chris Watts for the first time. So Nicole Kessinger has a best friend. She says to Kevin Kobach, oh my God, that girl's my life. Even though she's mad that Charlotte is grieving over her father, who literally just passed away moments ago. But anyway, she tells Charlotte Nelson about Chris Watts for the very first time on August 12th. There are 2 different reports written up in, pretty thoroughly in Discovery about that exchange. And there is a transcript of those exchanges between Nicole Kessinger and Charlotte Nelson, but it does not appear on the official Discovery timeline. In fact, when Kevin Kobach enters his commentary about Nicole Kessinger and Charlotte's text exchange, he doesn't tell us it's the 12th. He tells us it's the 5th of August. And we can talk about that too, and that's super sus. But there's so much here, I just have to kind of go through it. Then we're going to listen to Kessinger, hopefully come back to all this. I don't want to digress. And then, of course, we have the 111-minute phone conversation and the 6:16 a.m. ping from Nicole Kessinger's phone in Frederick, Colorado at 6:16 a.m. It's not in the official Discovery timeline either. So we see this cluster here of items that seem like they would be appearing in the official Discovery timeline if they were on a different day, that just don't make the final cut on the 12th of August, the eve of the murders. And then, the ping is in the early morning hours of August 13th. So this right here, that what we're looking at is kind of the premise of, and also understanding that the first item on the official discovery timeline is Nicole Kessinger searching for Shannon Watts. This is what caused me to take a look at the timeline according to the authorities, the official narrative as a whole, and find out exactly what is wrong with it. And there's a whole lot, spoiler alert, and what needs to be done to make that timeline accurate. Okay. And I took the liberty of going ahead and making it accurate for all of us. But before we can discuss that and understand the significance of it, because it is so significant, and if it weren't for District Attorney Rourke likely serving his final eligible term, uncontested, of course, as a district attorney in Frederick, Colorado, I truly do believe what can be uncovered when you rewrite the discovery timeline to just make it reflect the truth could very well be enough to reopen this case and investigation back into Nicole Kessinger. I used to never say things like that ever on this channel, especially. And it's not like I've decided, I'm just going to be all loosey-goosey with what I say now so I can say things like that. It's because after all of the deep diving that we have all done together and the conclusions that we can come to with certainty now at this time, I feel confident in saying that without feeling as though I'm being misleading to you, myself, or God. Okay? I'll never leave Jim alone. Me neither. Jim needs to be poked at and prodded and all kinds of things. Let's see. Bonnie Rigg says, maybe they did talk to Jim and they just didn't put in the discovery. It's very possible that they did and they didn't put in the discovery. We just don't know. So there's two possibilities. Either they did not bother to talk to Jim or Nicole Kessinger's friend, Daniela, whatever her name is. Or they did talk to them and they did not find the contents or of what they said suitable to put into the discovery files that are supposed to be towards the investigation of this triple or quadruple homicide, however you want to consider it. I'm going to call it quadruple because baby Nico was a victim too. Because rather than being about a quadruple murder, it became more about protecting one spoiled little brat. And it's really hard to figure out why that is. Let me just pull the discovery really quick here so I can reference the things that I'm talking about so you can see that they are actual and factual. That's interesting. Oh, wow. I just pulled this. That's weird. Usually I have to never mind. Don't worry about what I'm thinking here. Usually I have to click through something to get to the actual file. Let's see. Give me just one moment here. I am a horrible, horrible multitasker, as some of you know. Are you guys good at multitasking? Something I can't do. I think I'm okay with that though, because I think focusing on just one thing at a time actually is a really good thing. But when you do have the need to multitask and you just can't do it, that's kind of problematic. All right, so another visual here. Stop screen, present, and share. So if we just go up a little bit, this is the discovery file. We see that there's a description of all the various phones that they're going to be looking at. Nicole Kessinger's is item 43. Chris Watts is 40 and 41, whether it's his personal or work. And Shanann's is 42. I've done in-depth presentations on all of these phones. And then here we are. Here's a discovery timeline. Bing, bada boom. Item number 1, September 1st, 2017. Kessinger searched the internet for the name Shanann Watts. It's attributed to her phone on the timeline with the correct sequential number. From there, we jump ahead to May 29th, 2018. Wow. So we go from September 1st to May 29th, 2018. Like, what is up with that? So that is why I keep repeating time and time again. And I don't think that many of you like necessarily disagree with me on this, that that fact that the first timeline event is that search for Shanann Watts. It is absolutely, positively, 100% totally freaking significant. Now, just as a little kind of side here. So I didn't just notice, I happened to notice because as some of you say, my brain is kind of like the Watts Encyclopedia, whether I like it or not, Let's see, got to go to studio. Oops, studio. Justice for Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico, and justice for Micah. Content. Pull that up. I posted this video today of like what was Watts family was doing this in May, back in 2018 and 2017, because some of you were asking about some of these specific videos. I ended up taking it down because YouTube went ahead and took the liberty of turning comments off on it, which is fine. They do that with a lot of my Watts videos. But I started to feel it stirring up some kind of controversy I wasn't really interested in having stirred up. However, all right. This is, I don't even know if this is really worth doing, but I'm doing it anyway. Oh no, because that was in 2017. Never mind. Because I was going to point out that we jumped from September 1st, 2017 to May 29th, 2018. And what I was about to say was, and check this out. Here's this video of the Watts family on May 29th, which is that second timeline entry in the discovery. But never mind, it's 2017. It's only 40 seconds long. Let's watch Bella and Cece call for Dieter. I love Bella.
It's serious.
Oops.
You show him your flag. He'll come get you.
Oh, wait. I forgot to bring it into the stream. Just 1 second here, guys. Sorry about that. Silly me. Is the audio okay, everybody? Oh, and hey, thank you to the person that helped me out at the store I just went to. I had to get a new microphone. I was telling her that I have, and I've seen her before. She's a store locally here, that I have a YouTube channel. She's like, oh my God, I told her the name of it. And she like watches this channel. I couldn't believe it. And then she was talking about, all the things that we cover on the channel. I was like, oh my God, you really do watch this channel. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually meeting you. It was so weird. It's the first time I've ever had that happen. I was like, yeah, I live right here in this small town. How crazy, right? But anyway, she was absolutely amazing. So helpful in helping me get a new mic. She was wonderful. So thank you so much. If you're watching, I really appreciate you. Here we go.
She's like, got a receipt and go get him. It's serious. You show him your flag. He'll come get you.
Be nice, Cece. Dieter? Tell him, Cece. Thank you.
Dieter. Here comes Dieter.
Okay, so that was that. Oh, they're just so precious. One other thing I just want to show you in the timeline here before we listen to Kassinger. Please do not let me have the hiccups, God. I won't be able to talk, and I hate them. Oh my gosh. All right. I really hate the hiccups. Like, I really hate them. I think I hate them more than most people do. How do you guys feel about the hiccups? I get like really upset when I have the hiccups. Let's see here. Gosh, all the silly things that she Googles. So silly skanky empanada. Damn, she's crazy. Sorry, I'm just skimming through all these things in the timeline of, you know, the crazy things that she did. It's just off the hook. I'm looking for something specific. Thank you for your patience. Oh, no. I went too far. Oh, there's the creepy giggles, the voicemail, the creepy giggles. Damn, that was so weird. I mean, that's like something, you know, about this case, like those giggles, those voice messages from Nicole Kessinger, those are things that are going to be burned in our brain for our brains for eternity. And there ain't nothing we can do about it, guys. There's nothing we can do about it. We're stuck now. Okay, so now you see here on August 4th. So we're looking right in the middle of the page. It says 1,410 hours. So that's what, 210. Kessinger searched Google for Watts and Shanann's Facebook accounts. Now, it's really interesting that this is included in the discovery timeline here. Now, this is an example of how, you know, when we're talking about every item in the discovery timeline being significant and having importance, the person who authored the discovery timeline is apparently a really good detective and investigator. He's very thorough in his work. And, you know, it is said that, you know, he does write-ups, when he creates reports, every word of that report has meaning to it. There's no fluff. There's no bullshit. So we can assume safely that every entry in the discovery timeline has its importance, right? So this one entry here, it's on August 4th at 2:10 p.m. Kessinger searched Google for Chris Watts and Shanann's Facebook accounts. Now listen, I'm sure that she did that a number of times during the course of their relationship, but why on the 4th specifically does the detective put that into the timeline right here? So we are going to answer that question. I'm interested to see if you guys have any thoughts on that, but let's first listen to Nicole Kessinger's account from her own skanky mouth about the timeline of their relationship and the timeline of what she was up to that led up to this horrible tragedy. Oh, let's see. I'm going to have to. Oh, here it is. Okay. So let me bring this into the stream first, and then I'm going to explain to you where I picked up in this interview and why that is. And then, I don't know, Nicole Kessinger is going to take us on a little trip. Okay, so here we are at 44 minutes, 44 minutes into the interview. Now, this point right here is after Nicole Kessinger signed those documents to give law enforcement permission to do whatever they were selectively allowed to do with her phone, because they really allowed her to handpick all of the parameters of what that like search warrant would be, or that you know, of what they could lawfully search would be, right? I mean, and that's kind of fun to listen to also. Maybe we want to go back a couple minutes.
We're gonna get to that because that's probably a very important
Yeah.
conversation.
So if you want to know days, I would probably honestly
just start it like Sunday and work your way forward.
Okay, actually, you know what? We do want to listen to this, okay? So now what's going to happen is rather than, doing anything that's sensible, Kevin Kovac doesn't ever, take us on that route. So we're he's having Nicole Kessinger talk about the timeline of events, but at least for this portion of the interview, it kind of starts with what is most recent and then works its way back towards the beginning, if that makes sense. And I guess part of that is to do with the fact that they are talking about what they're going to be able to lawfully search for on her phone.
He lied to me. It just hurt. Like,
oh, we have to.
We need to accelerate the case because
this whole interview is just so rich. It's always great when Dwayne Kessinger chimes in, being all authoritative, like he's running the show.
What we're after.
I'm so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
Jen, you're feeling good. Not because just
Your poor little
I got
baby.
sick prior to this
Jim.
whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding with the
Stress.
fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations. But on the other end, I think if you do just that only,
You tell me what you're willing to provide to me, and we'll
is that
write it
good
in.
enough?
I just want like our text conversation.
Now, I finally really wrapped my head around what Dwayne Kessinger is talking about here, or at least I think so. So I actually would like to run this by you and let me know what you guys think. So he says, I'm with you. We really need to, here, let's listen to exactly what he says again.
Which is the text messages and the phone log. And unfortunately, again, the attachments on some of those text messages, and I'll write it on there, and then you'll just sign it. Okay? Do you understand the questions there? Do you have questions about any of the things that it says? You understand you don't have to do this. You're doing it of your own free will. And I know you're tired, so if you want to let your dad read it too,
He will. Thank you.
that's a good idea.
Can you fill it out before I sign it?
Yep. And just you read it. And if you have any questions, then we'll put on there what we're after.
I'm so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
Jen, you're feeling good. Not because
The poor little baby.
just
Like I got sick prior to this
Jim.
whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding with the
Stress.
fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much.
I just want you to notice when her dad says Jim here.
Which is the text messages,
I'm sure you get this more
which is
precisely.
the text messages
Whatever.
and the phone log. And unfortunately, again, the attachments on some of those text messages, and I'll write it on there, and then you'll just sign it. Okay? Do you understand the questions there? Do you have questions about any of the things that it says? You understand you don't have to do this. You're doing it of your own free will. And I know you're tired, so if you want to let your dad read it too,
He will. Thank you.
that's a good idea.
Can you fill it out before I sign it?
Yep. And just you read it. And if you have any questions, then we'll put on there what we're after.
I'm so hungry.
Deception Detective does a really good job of analyzing this, little interaction here, and her saying, "Oh, I'm so hungry," and using that as a distraction technique. I would definitely recommend checking out his videos if you haven't watched them yet.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down.
Now, listen, her dad is going to say, and Jim at some point, he's going to try to bring Jim into this conversation on, the topic of her not feeling well right here. And watch Kessinger.
It's just coming.
Jen, you're feeling good. Not because just
Like I got sick prior to this
Jim.
whole thing happening, and then I think all of this.
she gives him like a really quick side eye, and she like, you know, kind of like
Tell
she's
me.
holding her hand up a little bit. She like moves it towards him, like she's like smacking that word right out of the conversation
The
field.
fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Neither of Shanann, Bella, or Celeste. That's really interesting. You guys are all in the same boat. Isn't that right, Nicole Kessinger?
Yeah, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case because
He says, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case because
the more it takes, the less sure
the more it takes, the less sure they
that
are
they are of situations.
All right. So I'm with you. I really need to accelerate the case because the longer it takes, less sure they are of certain situations. And then Kevin Kovac responds.
But on the other end, I think if you just that only,
You tell me what you're willing to provide to me, and we'll write it
good
on.
enough?
Just one.
But on the other hand, if we just do that only, okay, so what he's saying there is, you know, we really need to get this moving along because we want to make sure that we are limiting the scope of any possible inquiry or search into anything that's going on with my daughter as you investigate these 4 murders, because that is priority number 1. But, you know, hey, listen, if we do just this, right, this very limited amount of data or information on the phone that she is allowing law enforcement to lawfully search through as they are, you know, investigating what was going on with her and her phone, you know, then we should be okay. And Kevin Kovac is totally like consenting to all of this. So Dad is saying, in essence, we need to make sure that we limit the scope of the search for this investigation because I don't want my daughter's ass on the line. And Kevin Kovac is just going like, yeah, nodding his head. It's absolutely incredible.
Like our text conversation, and then I guess our phone call records.
So I'm going to put.
So the time and date of the phone call records, and then our text message.
Ted,
Could we get photos of him?
Huh?
Could we get photos of him?
Off of
Would
that.
you mind if we got his photos that he sent to you?
Oh, well, they'll be in that text message thing.
So all his photos were sent. There was no apps or anything else used that you guys were sending. It was all just text messages.
Yeah,
Okay. So it'd be an attachment to a text that he sent you.
pretty much.
But
Everything is in the text and the phone call records,
so
like all of it.
because we don't have it on tape, we discussed prior to
Thank you,
turning the
Stevie.
tape on Tuesday, which would have been the 14th of August. You had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
And yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern.
Oh my gosh. It's like, open up, little birdie. Here comes the worm. I'm going to spoon feed you everything that you are supposed to believe and say. And she's just going to go, oh, yeah, okay, It's just, I know we've already seen it. I know we've already felt these feelings. But every time I hear this crap, I feel them again.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to
Bullshit.
me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day 2 too, and she still wasn't home.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those?
Yeah.
I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So
you
I
re-
removed
You already
it.
said, but you removed text messages.
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a lie, as we know, because we've talked about this, got a couple videos on it. Tony Husky, the supervisor at Anadarko, informed law enforcement at 5:34 a.m. on the morning of this interview, a few hours before Chris Watts' polygraph was scheduled to start, that Chris Watts had a mistress, and here are the emails that makes me believe this is the case. They're all dated on June 12th, which happens to also be the day after Shanann Watts posted publicly about her pregnancy on Facebook. But anyway, I digress. I could digress all day long because this shit show is just such a big clusterfuss of tangled mess. We need a channel called Watts the Obsession. Oh, good. Here it is. Speaking of digressing, Nancy asks a very important question. What is more annoying? JP Miller doing his, "Oh no, I just want to go see Jesus," Mr. Bill meltdown, or NK in her annoying voice in this interview? Nancy, that's a really good question. I think we are going to have to put that in a poll because I myself cannot decide.
So just for context.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
When people
Wait a minute. It's Kessinger. It's definitely Kessinger because it's if we're talking annoying, it's definitely her. But Kevin Kovac, here's one of the only moments where he puts a stake in the ground and stands firmly. And why doesn't he do this more often?
delete stuff off phones, usually we go,
No,
hold on a
I
second.
want to hear exactly what preceded that, where he kind of every now and then his panties will get in a bundle and he'll like come out with something like this. And it's really interesting to hear what exactly she said just before his panties started bunching up.
Wife was pregnant.
Yes.
And you did not know that prior, and you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concerns.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day two, too, and she still wasn't home.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me.
I know, because lying is such a horrible moral offense, isn't it, Nicole Kessinger? I mean, we should have no tolerance for lying.
And I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
I removed it.
You already said, but you removed text messages.
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward.
Yes.
Okay. So just for
I think he didn't like all of her explanation there. That
context.
she kind of, I feel as though she maybe
Yes.
diverted from the agreed upon narrative in her explanation there. So Kevin Kovac's panties are all bunching up, and he's like, "Okay, just hold on, just a second. I can't believe you just did that, but I can't just call it out because we've got this camera up there with a microphone." So he says this instead.
people delete stuff off phones, usually we go,
No,
hold on a second.
no. It
And
wasn't
that's why I
malicious
wanted-
at all. It
Yeah, no, I'm
wasn't
not saying it's
malicious at all. He lied to me. It just hurt. Like, I had never felt like he'd ever lied to me before. And it was a big lie. I mean,
Right.
telling somebody that you're in the midst of a divorce and then you have a wife that has a 15-week-old baby on the way is a huge, huge thing. And I was very taken back, and it was hurt. And so at that point, I like deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like, if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what it would have been. That would have been the end of it.
Well, damn, girl, I don't think you get a worse breakup than having 4 dead, innocent people, 3 children, 1 not even born yet, and a pregnant woman. I mean, seriously, though, it's a bad breakup. This is a bad breakup, NK.
Information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not what you did.
No.
You did it out of,
No.
excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him. and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking him out of my life.
Okay.
And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Wait, I just want to take this one comment here. So Veronica says, and rightfully so, I don't know why they release these videos, since law enforcement did the worst job ever. It's in the internet, so it's going to stay forever. Well, I'll tell you why they released this specific video, and it's not because they wanted to, or it wasn't their mistake in that regard. In fact, I think that they to some level knew that, or knew that was so corrupt and disgusting that was going on in there would just be all that more perceivable when people actually had the audio and in visual that would go together, right? So along with, several other creators, probably people not even associated with YouTube and channels, slamming Colorado and Weld County with FOIA requests. Plunder, the channel Plunder, who we all love and admire, really, really just got on the trail of this. And she eventually, after a series of several things that were done over the course of like 3 or 4 years, 3.5 years about, I think, she finally said, listen, if we don't get this video that goes along with this audio of the interview, because I know it exists, we know that this interview happened because we do have the audio, motherfuckers, I'm going to sue Weld County and da-da-da-da and da-da-da. And it made them just nervous enough that they finally, this was the last thing to be released in the discovery for this case, released it to Frankie Rusick, which I think was a totally good thing to do. And I think that Paula from Plunder had no problem with that. And then, he played it on YouTube, did his thing. And then the rest of us were at that point privy to this video. I'm sure they never wanted it out there. That's a really good point though, Veronica.
Yeah, when did I go over there? Tuesday morning?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday.
Oh, I love this too.
Wednesday morning.
This is a moment where she hates her dad. Watch this. I know we've looked at this before, but talk about, analyzing nonverbal communication here. Watch this block, duck, and try to, get out of the room via a gopher's hole.
Got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what it
would have been a bad breakup if none of this stuff would have happened. Oh my God. Like the audacity of this woman. It was a bad breakup and all of this stuff did happen. And all of this stuff that did happen perhaps made it the worst breakup in the history of humankind. You skanky empanada, sorry.
that would have been the end of it.
The information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it. You did it out of, excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking him out of my life.
Okay.
And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Yeah, when did I go over there? Tuesday morning?
There it is.
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday.
When did I go over there? Tuesday morning? No, Wednesday morning. It
Yeah, I
was
called you
Wednesday
Wednesday
morning. She's like, Dad, they cannot know that I knew that this was a thing on Tuesday, okay? Didn't you hear everything I said? On Tuesday morning, Dad, I was just opening up the newspaper and finding out that Chanel was pregnant. I can't believe you said that. Screwed up, Dad.
To discuss, and you guys need to get everything that it just.
You can understand the importance of,
Oh, no question. We were.
like I said, people lie, phone records don't, and they really help specifically establish dates and times.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a very good grip on that in this case already, but there may be a time when we go, we need to know something else, and then we would have it. We don't want to lose it, and that's really what it is for us. Is if we lose information that later on we go, man, I wish we would have got that, and we may never even use these. we may never even look at them. But if we have it now, then we don't worry about losing it. So I appreciate you being cooperative and giving it to us.
Yeah.
So the first thing I wrote was text messages between Chris Watts and attachments. Okay, so because we're talking about the photographs, unfortunately, that cause you much disdain. And then I am going to put a phone log for calls between yourself and Chris Watts. Your phone number is 720.
656 9605.
Breathy voice, exasperation. Ontario Ryan says police told her they wanted to show she was never near him that day and then never did that part of the job. And we are supposed to be just cool with all that? Yeah, exactly. Great comment. We're not cool with that. None of us are cool with that. Who would be cool with that? I mean, this is crazy. What law enforcement in Weld County is asking of the public that they are supposed to be working for is absolutely ridiculous. It's out of bounds. It's ridiculous. It's just craziness. Welcome, Anaphylaxis, and think for yourself. Nice to see you guys. Just reading Anaphylaxis. She said something about sorry, I was trying to catch a comment here, but they're kind of. Yes, Stevie, I gotcha. I'm sorry. I get all wrapped up, you know. Local Jazz Hand says, it's all there. You can check, but I removed it. I can't do it unless I'm like in the flow there. And tried to smash my SIM card just to help you guys out. Awesome. Totally. Absolutely. Local Jazz Hands. That makes perfect sense to me. Her dad must be so proud of her. That's awesome. Oh my God. Media creative agency says the bombshells that she witnessed the oops. Oh geez, I highlighted the wrong one. The aftermath, that's the ping. Very possibly because we never did find out what that fictitious bombshell was, did we? Yeah, the ping probably is a bombshell. Good point, guys. Good point. I removed
And
it.
this right now
I
is
removed
located
it.
we're at the Thornton Police Department. It's going to be moved to so this is kind of doesn't make sense, but we're here. It's going to be moved to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. He's going to download it here, but I'm going to take it with me, just so you know. It's not saying here.
Okay.
They're not going to retain any of this. This comes with me. Okay?
Is there anything else we want on there? I think that's about.
That's it. I mean, I don't have social media. I don't really have anything else you guys can pull.
Okay.
Is there anything else you know of that could help us with this that is not on this sheet?
Good question.
As far as like data,
That's on your phone?
no. I mean, everything we did was like text and talk pretty much. I mean, and like I said, any pictures that I had, like even if you were to restore all my regular photos, there's so many pictures in there and you wouldn't even know which ones were for him and which ones weren't. But
That's really great there. You know, that's where everything we did was, you know, text and talk, like basically wherever she says. That's like an example of something the deception detective points out, where it's like, you know, I believe her. She's telling the truth there, even though she is being deceptive, because, you know, when you're communicating through a phone, everything you do, all means of communication, unless you're drawing pictures, are either going to be text or talk. So yeah, she can sit there and be like, yeah, she's telling the truth and sort of remain her composure, yet underlying her, you know, superficial truth is major deception. And it is so clear that she is wickedly comfortable with this kind of interaction with people. That is why she is a skanky empanada. Stevie, plug your ears. I'm going to say it for you, Veronica. Empanada.
any picture that I wanted to send to him, I sent via text. So if you guys go through the text and the attachments, you will have you will have everything that wasn't said verbally and was done via text. But I think that's it. Like I don't have anything else. As far as like no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no LinkedIn, like none of it. So
I don't have anything else anymore.
there was never any of that kind of correspondence. So I think that should probably cover everything you guys will need.
Is there any particular messages that would help me so I don't have to look at? Because whatever's on your phone, I don't know how long we're going to get back to, but let's say is there a particular date or time or message that stands out to you that would be relative to specifically to the investigation into this case that might assist me in understanding why something like this could have occurred?
I'm still in shock that this whole thing happened. Like I like that's why I
What kind of
gave
an
you the
answer to his
benefit of the
question
doubt
is
for the
that?
first-
Is there specifically, that was a very direct question. Is there specifically anything on your phone that can help me out specifically with this investigation so I don't have to go through all of the, the gigabytes upon gigabytes of your searching for Shanann Watts, and just can actually find something that is going to be material towards this case so I can show my boss and like I did my job. I crossed the I's. No, I crossed the T's, I dotted the I's, or however that goes. And, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I hear Kobach saying, but it's as direct a question as he's ever going to ask. And she says, I still can't believe this is happening. She's like, let's go back to fantasy land where I can just pretend that nothing is real. I mean, it's just so, I want to cry. Every time I want to cry.
Day, because I was just like, no way. Like I didn't even think about that. I mean, murder was not on the top of my mind when somebody doesn't come home for an evening, especially if they just like had some sort of like heated conversation. It's like, okay, you guys are separating, you have a heated conversation, you leave for a night. Like I didn't even think this guy killed his wife. I mean, that like murder is on something on the top of my mind when I call one of my friends for 3 or 4 hours and she doesn't answer the phone. Like that doesn't even process to me as like a real thing that is a possibility at that point. And so that's why I gave it a day. And then the second day I was talking to him, he was just like a hot mess, I could tell. And then with like the way he was talking to me, and then that's kind of when I cut him off and I stopped talking to him. And then,
So remember what you just said, and we're going to get to that because that's probably a very important
yeah.
conversation.
So if you want to know
So,
days, I would probably honestly just start at like Sunday and work your way forward. I mean, all the rest of that stuff, it's just like a small talk of like, hey, this, I mean.
And your relationship building through the 6
Yeah,
weeks.
I mean, like, and if you go like maybe like a week further back.
Interesting how she says, I would just start with Sunday and work your way forward. So this is where we're starting the, discussion of the timeline according to her. So we're a little behind, but that's cool. So it's interesting again that she says, yeah, I just start Sunday and work your way forward because it is on Sunday. They must have, listened to her as they always seem to do, because it seems as though they did look into Sunday and work their way forward. And what they found on Sunday was some stuff she didn't know that they were going to be able to find. And that is why she is all but absent from the discovery timeline on that specific day. Very interesting.
Back, like there's times like I was trying to help him find an apartment, like just for him, not for me, but for him and his kids.
Reed, there are times when I was like, Chris, things are not moving along fast enough. You are going to get your dirty bastard ass into an apartment, preferably by yourself, but I understand you have those 2 kids. And you don't have one yet? Okay, good. I'm going to provide you a list of options, and we're going to make this happen next week. Putting the pressure on that led Chris Watts, who has already had this in his mind and was completely unstable and is a horrible person, obviously, to turn something that was at that time just in his mind into an absolutely horrific, unthinkable reality. And she will always be guilty of that.
Kids, to get set up, and like there's times where I'm like, well, where's your wife moving to? Like, how close is she gonna be to you? You should be within like 30 minutes of your kids, so they're close, and like you want to be close to their school and close to your gym, and like what's your price range? Like I was helping him get all of this stuff set up, and it was like in a very decent manner. And I don't know if all of that is in text. Some of it's probably on the phone. Like at this point, I've talked to him so much that I don't even know which parts are like verbalized and which parts are texted at this point, but we can figure it out.
Okay. So you see what I wrote? Text messages between Chris Watts and attachments, and then the phone logs for calls between your phone number and Chris Watts. Those are the two things that we'll ask to be extracted from your phone. So if you're okay with that.
Why does it say items removed? Cell phone data. Isn't that this?
That is that, and that's what he's going to remove, and then that officer is going to fill that out.
Gotcha. What is the date? I don't even know what
Today is the 16th.
Add anything to this?
If you give us your phone, we'll get him started.
Yeah, we want to give you everything, but we also want to be protected in doing
We want to give you everything, but we also want to be protected in doing so.
so. It's more of the
Sure.
was more
Is more of the it's more of the reason that we're here right now, you dumbasses.
for the thing. It's just
And when he's done, we'll give you our
Is there a
copies.
password or anything like it? Will it lock up after a
Yeah.
period of time?
Yeah.
You know, they are always, Nicole Kessinger and her father, they are always holding their ground on like, yeah, we will give you this, you know, to help out with this murder investigation of these two sweet little babies and an unborn baby and a woman who has a baby in her belly. But, you know, we want to make sure we are protected. You know, oh, yeah, I guess, you know, I can work with you. I can give you my time. But, you know, I'm going to need some help with, you know, figuring out the things with work and this press shit show that's about to come. And don't fucking let me down. I mean, it's just such a disgusting display of humanity.
and
Dad's trying to get back in there.
There's none. I checked before I wrote it off.
Let's go back to North Carolina.
Okay.
He went to North Carolina and he was trying to rehab his marriage with his wife.
He said.
Do you
he
know
was-
her name at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay saying her name?
It's Shanann.
All right. And do you know the children's name?
Yes, it's Bella and Celeste.
Okay.
Cece.
She went by, they called her Cece.
Yeah.
All right. So he went to, were they in North Carolina
They were already
already?
there.
If you want something.
I'm not my stomach can do that. Yeah, they were already out there. He just flew out there to meet up.
Do you know why they were there?
They're all from there.
Okay. So they were,
Okay, so again with the timeline. So they were out in North Carolina. What does she know? What does she say? What does she advise Chris as his marriage counselor before he heads out to North Carolina?
there
They
for,
were visiting her family for the most part until he got there. And then they still were mostly visiting her family.
okay.
They were visiting her family for the most part until he got there. And then they were still mostly visiting her family.
Hey, do you know how
She knows everything. She knows everything. She knows everything that happened between Shanann and Chris.
long they had been there?
A while, like weeks.
All right.
Like the whole time we were banging 5 times a day. I don't know, something like that.
And he flew out to join his family there.
Yep.
Do you know specifically where he flew to?
What, airport?
No. What city?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sure if I thought real hard, maybe I could think about it, but I mean, come up with it. No, I don't know.
All right. So he goes
Kind of like if you thought really hard, maybe you could come up with Shanann Watts' name. Kind of like that.
there. You said it was like the last week of July?
I think so. I think it was like one of the last days of July. I'm almost positive. I think it was a weekday.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. You're right on both counts, NK, because you know right down to the last minute.
Yeah, he flew out there, and I thought I had like convinced him to like try to make peace with her, and I was like, if you guys work on this, like, I'm out. Because what's the point?
Now, remember, it was just about 12 minutes ago when Kessinger found out for the first time that law enforcement had all of her phone records for the last week, right? Remember Kevin Kobach laid that on her? So now she's sitting there thinking, oh my God, okay, North Carolina, how in God's ever loving name am I going to justify all of the complete freaking psycho tsunami of jealous, possessive, insecure, all of cluster B crap that I threw his way when he was going to North Carolina and while he was at North Carolina and after he returned from North Carolina, and oh my God, and then like 2 days later, their family's dead. Oh, great. This is like what I'm pretty sure she's working out in her mind.
Like, I'm not trying to be with somebody that's in another relationship, which I know that sounds silly given the whole relationship that we had in the first place, but I really was under the impression that they were separated. I mean, it was like reiterated to me so many times that that's what I thought it was. And it made sense to me too, because like he could pretty much call me whenever he wanted. Like I was the one that would tell him like, hey, when your kids are awake, you need to spend time with your kids. Like do that. And then after they go to bed, like if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. But it was never like this super, super restricted thing. Like sometimes like right after work, if I was like still talking to him, I get kind of bummed out, and I tell him just like, oh, it's frustrating sometimes, like having to like wait. But at the same time, I was never like, this is horrible, or it was always like, I understood why.
So like how that really went down was, when it was like after work and I wanted to see him and I couldn't see him, I was like, oh, it's frustrating sometimes, like having to wait, which is like, are you freaking serious? Like I have to wait again? What are you doing? Are you like, what are you doing? Are you hanging out with your family? Are you doing this with your family? Are you doing this with Shanann? Well, I'm just like sitting here waiting around, wasting my time because my entire life revolves around you, Chris Watts. Now, I am not giving Chris Watts any kind of excuses or leniency for doing what he did, but just imagine the pressure that he was feeling with all of that coming from Kessinger. And then everything going on with Shanann. Well, she's pregnant, right? I mean, that's like big right there, of course. And, everything that happened with Nutgate. Yes, MRB, Nutgate was a big event in this shitstorm happening with Chris Watts and Shanann and the whole family spiraling into a complete state of chaos. There's no doubt about that. And then feeling, just being separated from his family and then hearing what his mom has to say about Shanann and now even his dad, because his dad has even had enough. I mean, this man was being torn in 1,000 million different directions, as we all are sometimes in life. And you have to, have the backbone and the fortitude and just kind of the skills to get through that. But Chris had none of them. And then he also had this evil influence buzzing in his ear 24/7. And, tragedy occurs. It's just terrible.
But then once his kids were asleep, he never like had any. It was like he could do what he wanted,
Once his kids were asleep, he never had any whatever that emotion was. It's like he could do whatever he wanted. Now, keep in mind, again, remember that the kids were only back in Colorado with their dad for a total of 5 nights for the whole duration of Nicole Kessinger's relationship with Chris Watts. So, the scale that she's speaking on about, every time, the kids were home. I mean, I think that every single night that Shanann was home for certain, and also every single moment that those kids were home were a really big deal to Nicole Kessinger because it was torturing the core of her being to not have that disgusting thing of a Chris Watts all to her skanky self.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
He was in his basement and she's upstairs and they're not speaking. So it kind of made sense. It wasn't like.
And you guys are just texting and.
Or talking or whatever,
Right.
I mean, and it was like I said, it was at certain times, but that time, and originally it wasn't, but it was me that put that time frame on there because I thought you should hang out with his kids.
Those 2 times you were at his house, did you see any evidence of that, him living in the basement? Did he ever show you that area or anything?
I've seen it. Yeah, I went down there and saw his little workout equipment, and there's a bed down there all set up, and the basement was all cleaned and organized and stuff. So, like a decent bed set up So it made sense to me, like, hey, this is what's happening down here. So I saw it.
Even though his family was in North Carolina for multiple weeks, it appeared that he was still living in the basement.
Well, and he told me sometimes he would like go upstairs and sleep if like he was home alone, because I know she'd like go on business trips and stuff. But he's like, I don't like that bed anyway, so he didn't really like sleep up there. I was like, okay. Even when it was just him. So
Okay.
that was the impression that I got. I don't know what you're talking about. North Carolina.
Go back to North Carolina.
North Carolina. So he still made very frequent communication with me when he was out there. And at one point he told me that they sat down and they talked about it, and he told her that he wanted to either fix things or like to try to fix things. And if she didn't want to fix them, then they needed to like move forward with the separation and like actually file for divorce at this point was the impression that I got from this, and was what he told me. And so he said that she was like pretty receptive to just not trying. He was like, she seemed like she just wants me to go. He's like, when she has her mind made up, she has her mind made up, and that's what she wants. And he's like, she doesn't want to try anymore. And he's like, and neither do I really. And he was like, it's done. And he's like, and then the next day, I don't even know what days these were. Sometime when he was out there, he told me, we're putting the house up for sale as soon as we get back. And I was like, well, that was quick. And he was like, it's her. She's ready to go. And I was like, okay. And so I left it at that. And then he got back, and I started asking him, like, what are you going to do? Because the Colorado housing market is fire, and you guys are going to sell this house like real fast. And I'm like, you need to start looking for a new place to live. And I'm like, where do you want to live? And I was really trying to help him out. I'm like, do you want to get a house? Do you want 3 bedrooms so you have one and each of your girls have one? I'm like, do you want to, like do an apartment? Like, what do you?
Notice how she sweetens up her voice here, because this is not how it's said at all. Think for yourself. I love that comment. Do you have any specific suggestions? Because I would love to talk to you about that, because you're right. People can complain about the case till the cows come home, but there needs to be some action that happens, right? And I would love to figure out what that effective action could be. Think for Yourself, guys, has a channel that covers the Watts case. I didn't realize Nancy, and it told me, I can't remember why it came. Oh, because we're talking about another creator who, and I get it. Think for yourself. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about with not even saying those words. But all of the like super deep diving you did with that, the American Horror Story commercial, I was like, oh my God. Like my analysis of that was like so super shallow compared. It's really awesome. So if you guys want to check out some seriously, and she was talking about this case like before Watts the Obsession even existed. So it's definitely a different perspective. So I would definitely suggest going to check out Think for Yourself. And if somebody wants to please grab that link and pop it in chat a few times, that would be amazing. I said that all earlier in my mind, but I don't think I said it out loud.
You want, where do you want to live? Because he's in Frederick, but that whole area over there is just like a bunch of small towns, and you can kind of just pick and choose. Everything's kind of, and so he told me, well, I like Brighton, and I was like, okay. And then he told me he wanted a 2-bedroom apartment, and he said he wanted 1 room for him and the other room for his 2 girls. And I thought it was kind of cute. Like, I remember telling him,
she's like, Reed, the baby, that damn baby was out of the picture from the beginning. It wasn't even a question. Don't you worry about it, Kobach. I had that taken care of from jump.
I was like, yeah, me and my sister had bunk beds, like at my dad's house. And I was like, when we were little girls, and me and my sister were the same age apart as him and as his 2 daughters, So I told him, I was like, they're going to love it. I was like, they might be like stuck in 1 room together. I was like, but they'll become like best buddies. And it was really exciting. Like, I liked helping him, and I just wanted him to like, I don't know. This is what he told me he wanted. So I was like, well, I will help you do the research. But another thing that I really took care of was to be like, where is she moving to? I was never like, you know what, screw your wife, try to get full custody. None of that bullshit. It was always just like, you know, I'd ask him, I'm like, well, what kind of custody you guys gonna have? Because he at work, they're about to switch his schedule. So right now he's like on Monday through Friday, and they're about to switch these guys to 8 days on, 6 days off.
That's tough.
That's awesome. And I was asking him, I was like, are you gonna have your kids like on that set of days off? I was like, because that would work perfect, like 1 week on, 1 week off. And I was just like, you know, we just talk about it. And I'm like, what is your plan? And he's like, we haven't figured out exactly what we're going to do about the kids yet. But he told me, he's like, Colorado's a 50-50 state and she's okay with everything 50-50. Like, he said that she was like on board with this because she wanted it too. Like, she was checked out of this relationship. So that was like how he made this sound, that it was like a very like kosher, we're done kind of thing.
Did you ever give him like books or articles or anything to read about saving your marriage? Did you ever provide anything to him like that?
About saving his marriage?
Yeah, like how to recover a marriage or how to save your marriage. Or, you know, there's all sorts of publications and books out there.
No, but I did tell him, and I don't know if I did this through text or phone. That will be something you guys will, I'm sure, figure out. But I told him a few times, like, I think that you should take the time to read some articles about what separation does to kids. You know, and I told him, I said, when my parents separated, we were literally like 3 and 5. We were almost the exact same age as these little girls. And I told him, I said, you know, I was so young when it happened that it didn't really have like a big negative effect on me because I was so small that I didn't really process it too well. I was like, but I do have cousins that their parents got divorced when they were like 10, 11. And I think that it hit them a little harder. You know, and he's like, oh, they'll be fine, you know, and I told him, I was like, even though they're small and you think that they'll be fine, I was like, I think you guys should just read about it just so that you guys are prepared in case, you know, one of these two starts having a hard time with the fact that you guys aren't in the same house anymore, you know, and I would tell him, I was like, you know, there's pros and cons to it, like, because he was like getting ready to do it, and it would be like, you know, it's kind of cool having 2 Christmases, and, you know, like your parents get to go, you know, be happy doing whatever it is they want to do with their lives, and they don't have to be in a situation that's probably not good for the kids because it's not good for those two, you know. But at the same time, it was like, just read. Like, that's what I always used to tell him. I always tell him to, like, I tell people to read about everything. Reading is so good for you.
So he, at this time, is telling you that, yeah, I am the guy trying to save the marriage and she doesn't want it.
That's what he told me. So, and then he was like, she doesn't want it, so I'm not going to do it. And then it was like, we're filing for divorce, we're selling the house. And this was like all as soon as they were coming back from North Carolina, like boom, 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 boom.
Would you recall when he gets back from North Carolina?
No, I don't even know how long he's out there. I know it was like less than 2 weeks and more than 1.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So he comes back early August. Would that be fair?
Oh yeah, it was definitely like in the first 2 weeks somewhere.
All right.
Probably the second week of August at some point in that. I don't remember when.
Does his wife come back with him at that time? Or
Yeah, they all came back.
They all come back at the same
They
time.
all came
Yeah,
back.
they all came back.
And then so he continues to just, you know, tell me that this is like what he wants, and so I took the time, and you will see that in the text too, where I I found this apartment. It was perfect. It was so cute. I was like, it's in your price range. It's like 6 miles.
So I took the time to further my manipulation tactics because they were not working to my satisfaction at that point, clearly, and I was pissed. That's what she really wants to say.
From the gym. It's 23 miles from work. I'm like, you know, it's super close to Frederick. It's going to be by your kid's school. Like, this is the spot, you know, and I told him, I was like, I'll keep looking for more places. And he's like, well, there's some that I want to go see too. And he actually had me thinking that he was going to go look at these places this week before all
Okay,
this.
so this is fairly recent then. If we're
This
talking,
just happened. Like in the last.
he's going to go
couple
look at apartments.
weeks. He wanted me to go
During,
with him.
when you say this week, are you saying
Like this.
Monday
this
was the 13th?
week. Like this week.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told him, I was like, well, pick out a few spots. And if you want me to come with you, I'll go look at them. But you know.
You said earlier that he had never, or that the apartment wasn't for you and him. It was just for him and his children.
Oh, yes.
It was, you had no intentions of moving in with him.
No. I have my own spot. I still have a lease there till July. And even then, like, he never asked me to move in with him.
Okay.
And I never tried to move in with him. I mean, I told him, I really try to take everything with this whole situation very slow. The only part that I screwed up on was the fact that he wasn't completely separated from her when him and I decided to spend time with each other. That is where I screwed up. But other than that, everything else, it was always like, you know, you build your life, I'm going to build my life, we will intertwine them, but I am not ready to like do this. And he respected that. And I even said that, and I don't know, that might be in the text, but said that 2 words like, Chris, like, you need space. Like, you're just getting out of a divorce. Like, personally, I think jumping into a new relationship is a little quick. It's like, I was in a relationship earlier this year, and I think this is also a little quick. And I'm like, so why don't we take our time? And I'm like, if you guys end up doing a week on, a week off with your kids, I'm like, the week you have your kids, be with your children. And the week that you don't, I'm like, I don't even want to see you every day. I'm like, I think we should.
Deception Detective did like a really great summary of what she's saying right here. I'm actually going to see if I can find it. I can't remember if we watched it on this channel or if I watched it separately from you guys, but I'm not even going to try because I can't do it better than him. But I'll be right back.
Spend like a few days of that together. I'm like, because I like my space, and I think you need your space. I think you need your space to like develop your identity again and like get it back, because I think he's just been like so wrapped up in this whole thing that he's got in his own life and his life that he doesn't
like his
remember
marriage.
what it's like to like be single or have time where it's like just him.
Sure.
And so I was just like, you know, like embrace that. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I really try to like take it smart with all that. And it was the same thing with his kids. So it's just like, you know, like, and we talk about things every once in a while where I'd be like, hey, if I ever meet, you know, because like I have a lot of houseplants. It's a good example. So I have a lot of houseplants, and I told him, I was like, one day if I ever meet your kids, I was like, I'm gonna show these girls how to like paint pottery and plants. I was like, I think they would love to see something grow that they built. I think it would be really, really cute. And like little stuff like that, but it wasn't very frequent. It wasn't, hey, we should get married, and hey, we should have babies, and hey, I want to live with you, and hey, I need to meet your children now, and let's cut the mom out. It was never like
it was just slightly more extreme than that.
Like
And
that.
there was never any conversation about, you know, we can't do this with her around. We can't do this with the kids around.
No.
He never said that. You never said that.
No.
So the way you guys were trying to make this work was just, you know, slowly trying to come together because of his current situation, and you, by your own account, your own.
Mine. I mean,
You're just a independent person. It sounds like pretty much,
yeah.
And but through text message or through conversation, he never said, "Hey, you know, this isn't going to be financially able. I'm not going to be financially able to do this, or this isn't a good thing. I got these kids." None of those conversations ever came up.
No, I mean, he told me like he had a budget restriction. So for his apartment, and I'm pretty sure this is in the text, and this will probably be in the last couple of weeks. He told me $1,100 to $1,400 when I was asking him, like, because I told him I'd help him do homework. I was like, you do some homework, I'll do some homework. We'll knock this out, because if you guys are for real putting the house up, you got to figure it out. And so that was his budget. And I remember asking him, I was like, you sure you don't want to just get like a house? And he's like, I never thought about a house. I'm like, yeah, you can rent houses, man. Like, it's a thing. And he's just like, I don't know if I can afford that. I was like, okay. And I knew that those two had been through some financial trouble. I definitely found out a lot more about that situation in the newspaper recently.
Okay, so prior to the newspaper, how did you know he was in financial difficulty?
Because when I went to that house, everything in there is very, 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 very nice. It looks like it all comes with a very expensive price tag. And I didn't say anything to him about it, but I could kind of tell then, where I was like just looking at everything like, how do you guys afford this? And then he has that car. I don't even know how much that car costs, but
What car is
that Lexus. I'm sure that thing costs like $80,000, but just like money, like everything just looked like it costs a lot of money in that house.
You probably have a decent idea of how much money he makes.
Yeah, and it's not enough money to pay for all that, not even close.
Did you have any idea of what Shanann did for a living, or how much money she might have made?
I mean, I had an idea. I would consider her like a sales rep. I don't know how else to describe that. for the company that she worked for. And I don't know exactly how much she made. He said that she was really competitive and she liked to try to keep up with him. He's like, she gets close sometimes. So I don't know how much those two brought in. I mean, off the top of my head, if I could guess, probably somewhere around like 140K a year. I mean, I don't know, because I don't know exactly how much he makes. And I don't know exactly how much she makes, but based just off of like what I know about the oil field, like, yeah, I would say that's probably an accurate estimate.
So even if they're making, let's just use the figure $100,000, they're living above their means or below their
Oh
means?
my God, like
Way too much.
way
Did he ever
too-
discuss with you any of those issues?
I mean, a little. I mean, I didn't know about the bankruptcy or any of that till I read on the newspaper about that. But I think he was really frustrated with the situation. He told me, he's like, I feel like my paycheck goes in my bank account and I just watch it go like this. He's like, but it doesn't have to. He's like, she makes it like that. And I was
So
just
was
like,
he resentful for that?
I don't know if he was resentful. I just think he was frustrated by the fact that they could be doing a lot better financially. And she, from the vibe that I got, had really bad spending habits.
So she was a spender. The car, hers or his?
I think it's hers.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that that's hers.
Do you know what other car they might have?
Well, I mean, his APC pickup truck.
And that's
it, I
and
think.
that's owned by Anadarko, though, right?
Yeah. But so I don't think they own any other vehicles as far as I know. I think it's just that thing.
And Anadarko doesn't allow him to drive that on his own personal time, right?
No.
So he's just got one vehicle.
Yep.
And it's a very expensive Lexus. And then they live in a pretty expensive house.
It's a huge house.
Yeah.
I was very taken back when I saw it. I was just like, whoa. How?
And then
you
the
guys,
fixtures inside caused you to pause.
everything was just like,
And then you mentioned today you read something about bankruptcy.
Yep.
What did you read?
that those guys filed bankruptcy for a lot of money in
Who are those guys?
that couple
Okay,
in 2015. Oh, Shanann and Chris
thanks.
filed bankruptcy in 2015.
Okay, and you said for a lot of money. Do you recall the amount?
No, because it was different in each of the newspapers, and I don't know which one to believe.
Okay.
So hundreds of thousands of dollars. So yeah, I
So-
didn't know that.
Let's go just back to him and the financial. He tells you he has a concern enough to at least express something to you that he's frustrated with the way she spends, or he's upset with working so hard and never having any money, and she's kind of the responsible party for spending most of the money.
I pretty much got that vibe. I mean, he just told me, he's like, we're house broke all the time. I was just like, that's unfortunate. And I asked him, I was like, do you have 401k? And he was like, yeah. And I mean, the reason I ask him this is because if I get in a relationship with somebody, I want to know like what kind of baggage that they have. I think that's important. If I walk into a situation where I'm like, hey, I have good credit and I have all these things that I've been building, and you don't have your stuff together, like, what are we going to do with this? And it's important for your long-term.
You're smart.
thing. So I'm preparing. And so I just asked him, I was like, well, do you have 401k? And he's like, yeah, I do have that. And then I asked him, I was like, I didn't ask him like how much debt they had or anything, but I just said, is your lifestyle sustainable? And he was like, no.
Okay.
And I was like, how long do you think that's going to take? He's like, I don't know, but it's not sustainable.
Where did his girls go to school?
I don't know. He never actually told me. Like when I gave him,
Now, don't you think it's interesting that he never told her where Bella and Celeste were going to school unless he didn't know, and that's possible. Because she asked. I think this is really interesting. Was he like, I don't know. Why do you guys think that is? Or do you think he just didn't know?
asked him once, it was like when I was trying to find him an apartment, I was like,
She says, I asked him once when he was trying to find an apartment, and he didn't tell her where they went to school.
are you comfortable telling me where your girls go to school? That's in the text too. I was like, so I can figure out what distance from the apartment it is. I was trying to just make his life convenient with like him, his ex, his kids, and all the stuff that he needs to do and work. And he was like, don't worry about it. Their school's pretty centrally located. So anywhere in the area that we were discussing will be fine. And he just left it at that. So he didn't even tell me, which was fine. I respect that.
Daycare is obviously very expensive for a 2, 3, and 5-year-old. right? So
I understand.
did he ever bring did he ever discuss that?
Never.
Okay.
Never. Like I said, the only financial thing he ever said is just like, she just likes to spend money, like a lot of it. So that was just kind of the vibe that I got from that. And that it was a lifestyle that she liked to live, like very like materialistic kind of lifestyle.
Wanted to
Like it
project
was-
a certain image.
Yes, all the time. And he said that was why they got that house too. It's like she wants everybody to think that we live a certain way and that we can like sustain all this stuff. And he's like, and we can't. And I told him, I said, when you're in those situations, why don't you, I'm like, do you like voice your concern about this? And he told me, he's like, when I try to talk to her, he's like, she's really bossy and she usually shuts me out. And he's like, when she does that, he's like, I just let it go. And I'm just like, all right. I mean, I don't try to like interfere with how those two interact. But I did ask about it because I'm just curious, because I would never put myself in a situation where someone was like, you know what, we're going to live in this house that costs like double what we can afford. And that's how it's going to be, because I want everybody to think we're fancy, because I wouldn't do that. I mean, to me, like I wouldn't put up with somebody doing that to me. And I'm not saying that that's what she was doing. I mean, for all I know, he could have been completely lying about this. He could be the one spending all the money.
Sure.
You know,
This is just what he told you.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's as far as I can interpret it. So I can't be like, well, oh, she needs to do this and she needs to do that. But he voiced his concern where it's just like, financially, I'm in a very bad spot that I don't need to be in, but I'm stuck in. And that was kind of where he was at. So, but I mean, he was never like mean when he talked about her. He was never hostile, like nothing like that. He just, I mean, very calmly, like, this is the situation. And I think the only reason that he even provided me with that information is because I asked.
Okay. You said something about her being controlling or
Bossy.
bossy
That's what he said. Bossy.
in like all aspects of their life, or what, do you know exactly what he meant by that? How that affected him?
I think he was just saying when he voices his opinion, it's not heard. Is the gist of that, which I thought, from what it sounded like from their separation, from them trying to separate, that was a big deal for him, where he was saying that the reason that they don't really get along anymore is because he feels like he's not heard. He says that he comes home from work and he tries to talk to her and she'll just be like, 1 minute, I'm on the phone. Or she'll like scroll through social media and she like doesn't acknowledge him. And he said that he'd addressed it with her a few times and they're calm. He said they don't really like fight. Like they don't scream and yell. And he said he'd addressed it with her a few times and he said it just fell on deaf ears. He's like, she just seems like she's not interested anymore. And I think it made him sad because, I mean, he was like all about his kids and he seemed like he was trying to be all about her, but it just wasn't reciprocated. And I think at that point he was just like, they just kind of like fell apart.
Okay.
Just kind of drifted apart.
Was that your words or his?
What, that
fell apart?
Those are mine.
Okay.
Those are mine. He just said that they didn't communicate very well. And it wasn't in a aggressive way communicate. It was just the fact that they didn't like communicate at all.
They
didn't talk.
And they had children and they was there ever mention that he was trying to resolve or save his marriage for the children's sake? A lot of people talk about that. Did he talk about that?
I mean, he told me that he believed that the only reason that those two had still been doing it as long as they've been doing it, because he told me that her and him have had communication issues for about
Okay, I'm going to go forward a little more because I'm so sorry. I got wrapped up in this. I kind of honestly forgot the intention of this, which was to capture the timeline as she presents it. Sorry about that.
Family and her family. And while he was in town before he went out to North Carolina, I guess.
Well, here we go talking about North Carolina.
This is all like hearsay now because it's like, this is not a conversation. Like he's telling me this stuff, but who knows exactly what happened. But he went out there to go see his family and her family. And while he was in town before he
She
went
knows
out to
everything.
North Carolina, I guess his mother had accidentally like not
Oh,
exposed
I don't
her
want
to
to hear about
something with
nothing.
nuts.
I'm not
And
kidding.
it was very comfortable for me. I enjoyed it. I think he
Okay,
did
here
very
we
much
go.
as well.
You guys, 6, 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever it was, you guys have an intimate relationship during that time.
Yes.
Okay. So you're pretty serious. Did he ever tell you that he loved you?
Yes, he did.
Did you ever tell him the same?
A couple times.
Notwithstanding that today, because those thoughts may have changed for you, but on, let's go Sunday into Monday or Monday, did you still love him on those days?
I think it was something where it was like I said it a few times and I meant it, but he definitely felt the urge to say it to me a lot more than I did to him because it was just all very new to me. And it was like, take your time with this. Like, you don't need to like rush that, you know? Like, I remember when he was in North Carolina and he was like trying to patch things up with his wife and he told me he loved me. And I was like, don't say that to me. Like, please go try to fit. And I mean, and that might even be in the text too, where it's like, don't say those words to me and then go try to make peace with your wife and lay in bed with another woman. Like, just don't do that. And I was like, it's not that I don't appreciate what you're saying to me. It's like, it just didn't sit right for me, you know? So I just feel like,
Almost like an insecurity where he had to say that to you? Or?
I don't know. I think he like, looking back at all this now, I don't think he was trying to fix things with her. So saying I love you to me seemed like probably something that he genuinely meant. Like, I love this woman, and regardless of where he was going to end up that night. But to me, in the way that I was perceiving things, he had told me that he was trying to fix things with her. So it's just like, this is an inappropriate time. And I wasn't mad at him. And I'm pretty sure that's in the text too, where it was very like calm, but it's just like, it's almost disrespectful where it's like, please don't. I'm like, you know, if we get to that point where it is you and me, like, yes, you can say that, but don't, not then. Like, that's.
So you thought he was very genuine when he said that?
I did. I mean, and he wrote it. It's in all those cards I gave you. Not in all of them, but
Okay.
like the later ones.
And
thank you.
When you said it to him, you said you meant it when you said it.
Yes, I just didn't say as frequently as he said it. Like, sometimes he would say it, and I was just like, for me, it was still like very, very new. So I kind of like took my time and only said it when I was just like, this is a really important moment.
So in the short period of time that you guys were together, he
Yes.
became very attached to you.
Yes. Very,
I
very
mean, he's
attached.
sending cards,
Flowers.
He's telling you he loves you. He sends you flowers. Does he buy you any other gifts?
Nope. I wouldn't have wanted them anyways. Flowers is enough. I don't need expensive stuff.
Okay. But he becomes very attached.
Yes.
You guys are talking multiple times a day, at least.
All the time.
You're seeing each other on a regular basis.
Yep.
So it's a very, and his wife is not around, nor are his children. So there's a lot of time for you guys to build your relationship in this first four weeks or so. Is that fair?
Yeah, and even when she was back, I mean, it was still like we were still spending time together. He was still spending time with his children, and I had my own life. Like, I mean, there was one week where I just like went out of town with my friends for my birthday. I wasn't even around the whole like last few days of June up until the 3rd of July. I was like gone, you know. And then there was another like last weekend. I had a friend impromptu come in town from out of state, and I hosted her for a few days. And it's like I still did my own thing all the time. Like, whether he was there or not, like, if my friends were like, hey, we want to make plans, I would tell them, like, we're not hanging out today because I want to go see my mom or my dad.
Did your friends know about him?
Nope.
Why?
Because it's like.
Because I made him delete his Facebook account. Well, that would be so her friends didn't know about Shanann's pregnancy, but oh, wait. Needs some setup.
He's with 2 women right now. They don't need to know about
So if you had a boyfriend of 4 to 8 weeks on a
Wait, I want to watch her say that again. I love it.
Were married prior.
He's with 2 women right now. They don't need to know about that.
For a few days. And it's like
So if you had a boyfriend of 4.
for a few days. And it's like like I still did my own thing all the time. Like whether he was there or not, like if my friends were like, hey, we want to make plans, I would tell them like, we're not hanging out today because I want to go see my mom or my dad.
Did your friends know about him?
Nope.
Why?
Because it's like he's with 2 women right now. They don't need to know about
So
that.
if you had a boyfriend of 4 to 8 weeks on a regular, I don't know if you were married prior or if you had a boyfriend before, but if you had a steady
Don't rub it
boyfriend,
in,
you would
Kovac.
let people know. I think you told me before we got started that you just told your dad about Chris
No, I wouldn't have
recently.
told them. I wouldn't have told
Okay.
people. It's too early. I mean, people.
So you don't tell your friends, hey, I got
No,
a
because
boyfriend.
people come and go. I mean,
Okay.
dating scene these days is like, it sucks. I mean, so no, I wouldn't. I mean, it would have to be something, even with Sean. I think I was with Sean for probably like 6 or 7 months before I brought him home to my family. I mean, I really, same with, that was the guy I was in a previous relationship with, but I
But
mean,
this one, you were a little bit more, you said he's with 2 women. Was that one of your considerations for not telling anybody about him?
yes. Well, I mean, it was like, okay, like this, to me, it wasn't going to be an extended thing. Like if it got to the point where we were like dating for like 3 or 4 months and he's still talking about, oh, I'm going to move out and I'm going to sell the house. I think at that point, I probably would have just been like, I don't think you're really like doing these things you say you're going to do. And I probably would have just like left because at that point, it's not fair. It wasn't fair to me in the first place. It wasn't fair to her in the first place. It wasn't fair to any of us in the first place. You know, it wasn't fair to his family for him to have an affair. It wasn't fair to me.
Mostly, it wasn't fair to me.
To have him lie to me and make me think that.
But honey, he didn't. He didn't lie to you. You knew all along what was going on. It's not fair for you to lie to Kovac because he's a shitty interviewer as it is.
Everything is going to plan. And still to this day, I don't even know what's a lie and what's not. I don't even know if they were like filing for divorce. I don't know if they were putting the house up. I don't even know anymore what is real and what is not. But what I do know is it's just like, you know, that wasn't fair to me either because if I'd known not even all the truth.
Think for yourself. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, poor Sean. Oh, you mean the guy that wouldn't go downtown, Miss Kessinger? That one? Yeah. The one she told all the world that, yeah, I was just laughing to myself about that. I'm so glad you said it. That Sean. See, text
Obviously
messages to Charlotte Nelson.
Of it, I wouldn't have even engaged in any of this in the first place. And it just, I mean, and that's the part for me, just like on my personal level, outside of everything that is happening, that is going to affect me long term. It's like, you know, I'm going to wake up every day and know that like this mom and her unborn child and these 2 little girls are not around anymore. And it breaks my heart. It is, oh my God. And then I have to think about like the consequences of his actions and how they affect everybody else. Like all of these, her family's impacted. My name is about to be like slandered for probably a while. I don't know how long that's going to take to heal, but I would not be surprised if it's going to be hard to go out in public sometimes for a couple of years. And that really hurts me. I'm just like, this is a horrible, horrible thing. Like, how dare you, you know, and people aren't going to understand that.
This is a horrible, horrible thing. Not because a pregnant woman, 2 babies and an unborn baby were killed, but because people are going to slander me. This is a horrible, horrible thing. And I'm like, how dare you?
You know, they're going to say, oh, you know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family. And
let me tell you, girl, they're going to say a lot worse than that. Yeah, right here.
I take a step back and it's just like,
I didn't know.
Like, he's so disgusting. I'm so ashamed of him and everything. And I just, oh, those little girls, they're so little.
We talked a little bit earlier about getting some help for these things, and we can provide that at really no cost. Through the
Well,
state.
one more we just want to make sure there's resolution.
Absolutely.
That's why we come to you guys to
Yeah.
pound it down
Hey,
until there's
I'm
nothing left.
sorry that you're talking again today. I really am. I don't want to put you through any more trauma than you've already been through. There is reasons for everything that we're doing today and what occurred. And I'm sorry. I genuinely am sorry. These are not things that we like to do twice. It's the same thing with other types of victims from other crimes. We want to do it once and we want to be done. Unfortunately, we didn't know yesterday what we know today. And that's why we're here, because we need this video. And I am sorry, because I know it's hard to talk about it.
But it's so sad, and she's pregnant.
And you know, on our end, we
God, and
didn't.
they're so cute. They're so little. Like, oh, wow.
Why?
Why? Ow! I don't even understand how you could like bring yourself to do that to somebody who's like that big.
Good. Yeah, she's a little late on that cue.
Oh, Jesus.
Take a minute. Do you want to step out for a minute?
No, I just need to chill with my eyes closed for a sec. I still cannot believe this is happening. All right, let's keep going because we're just getting to like the meat of this whole situation.
Let's get to the phone call on Saturday from 9 to 11. What did you guys, or pardon me, on Sunday from 9 to 11?
Yeah,
So I just like to reiterate, this is one of at least 9 times that Kevin Kobach asked Nicole Kessinger about the 111-minute phone call during the course of their 4 interviews. That is 2 that were on the phone, 2 that were in person. 9 times he asked her about this more than any other topic. And the phone call, as you know, we all know, was 111 minutes, which was much longer than any other call on her phone record for the 3-month period that we have. Way longer than any phone call she had ever had with Chris Watts, at least for the time that we have the phone records for. Yet, and on her phone bill activity, it is the event that immediately precedes the 6:16 a.m. ping. And the 6:16 a.m. ping happens to be just a few minutes after Chris Watts left, ostensibly with a truck loaded with his family, whether dead or alive, on the way to Survey 319, where we know he would leave their bodies at the very least. That is what we know. Yet, the 111-minute phone call is not on the Discovery timeline. But lots of other phone calls that happened and text messages that happened right around, during, or after the 111-minute phone call are on the timeline. Interesting, isn't it?
we talked a few times. So Sunday, I think so. I need to think. I can't even think.
Take a couple breaths and take a second.
Sunday night. I don't even know. I don't think I was like concerned about anything at that point.
You guys had a meal.
Not the question.
Before, you knew his wife was probably coming home late that evening.
Oh, you know what? I still don't remember what we talked about. I honestly, we talk about so much random stuff. It's so hard to pinpoint some of these things. I don't remember what we talked about. I do remember that was a long phone conversation though. We probably talked about all sorts of stuff. One thing I do remember though, that I didn't remember earlier when I was talking to Mark. So this is where I'm starting to remember little bits and pieces. I don't remember. Yeah, I know. So the phone conversation.
Yeah, I know.
I don't remember what was in the phone conversation. Probably nothing of relevance, to be honest with you. But usually he talks to me when he's down in the basement in his bed before he goes to bed and before I go to bed. And I could hear the TV on, which I thought was kind of weird. I didn't ask him. I just heard it in the background. And I remember thinking, and it was right before we got off the phone. I was like, why the hell is he up? And there's no TV downstairs. So I was like, well, maybe, I don't know.
No TV in the basement where he usually calls you from.
Yeah, and I don't know how many TVs they have. I've never been in their bedroom.
I went upstairs once and it was like to their little playroom and I just like looked at it and I was like,
'Cause
that's
Peter
super
made
cute
me.
that your girls have books. And that was like it. And other than that, I have never been in any of those rooms in that upstairs. Like to me, it was just like, you don't know, like ever. I had no, so I don't know if he has any other TVs. I'm assuming by like how much other nice stuff they have in their house, it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm not quite sure what room he was in at that point. But I just remember hearing the TV and I was like, it was just weird to me because I was like, why are you watching TV right now? It is like super late. And that was the only
And
thing.
he had phoned you? Or were you guys already talking when the TV was going? Or
I just remember like I like picked up on it like later, but I don't think it was like throughout the whole conversation.
okay.
Like I just remember it being towards the end because I remember thinking like, wow, it's really late.
The something I didn't ask you about the house because you'd been there twice, and it just made me remember. Do you remember how you guys accessed the house?
That's a good question. So once through the garage, and I think once through the front door. I think the first time was through the front door, I think. And I think the second time was through the garage.
Was there anything unique about either of the doors when you went into the house that might not be typical of another house?
Like a unique door.
Not
You know,
the
they
door
have a
itself.
camera on their door.
Okay,
I mean, I
there's
know
a
that.
camera on the which door?
It's on the front door, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did he use a key to access the house?
No, he did not. The first time I went over there, he just let me in. And then the second time, did we go through the garage? I don't remember. I've been through his garage before. I went through his front door once though, because I remember he had just cleaned, it was the first time I went through his front door, because he had just cleaned his carpets and he had moved all the furniture out of the way, and the furniture was kind of in the way of the door. And he's like, the door doesn't open all the way right now. I'll move all the furniture back when the carpet dries. So I do remember that just kind of offhandedly. And the second time, I want to say we went through his garage because I remember his garage. I remember, yeah.
So he was at the house when you went there. You were never there by yourself.
He
correct?
was at,
Or he
no.
took you there.
The first time he was already there,
Okay.
and I met up with him. And the second time we went there together.
So the front door, I asked if he had used a key.
He let me in.
Okay. So there's a, those keypads where you can
Mhm.
enter an access code. Do you remember seeing that on his door?
Like, I want to say vaguely, but to be honest with you, I don't remember. Like, he let me in that day. That
So
was
he never
so
gave
long
you
ago.
the code to access his home.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
You talked about a security system. There was a camera on the front door. Was that just like what a Ring doorbell is that goes to your phone?
I don't even know what it looked like. I only
Okay.
know that it existed either because A, I wasn't paying attention the first time I was over there, but B, because of all the stuff that's going on right now. That's the only reason I know
Okay.
it
Did you remember
exists.
seeing any cameras anywhere in the house?
No.
Okay. Did he ever tell you about the alarm system or give you an access code to the
No.
alarm system?
No. I wouldn't have asked for that. I wouldn't have wanted that anyways.
Sorry to regress to that.
No,
Go
you're
back
okay.
to the phone call or where you noticed the television in the background of the
Yeah.
phone call.
So I didn't know what room he was in, but I was just like, I just thought it was weird because he's always like, before I go to bed and I lay down, he's always like kind of trying to do the same thing. We just talk. It's like a really chill thing till one of us is about to pass out, and then that's like the end of it. But it was strange because I was like, the TV's on. I remember I was thinking, I was like, maybe he's waiting up for her, and then I was like, maybe not. I didn't know. It wasn't something that like alerted me. It was just different from his
Out of character
standard
for him.
operating procedure. Because whether his wife is home or she's gone, he's always got kind of like the standard op when he calls me. So that's why it was kind of like unique.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really fluctuate when she's there and when she's not there. He's pretty like free reign with what he does.
So anything important that you recall during that conversation about the children, about his wife, about what he was doing the next day, what he had planned, anything like that? Did he tell you any of that information?
I remember he told me he had to go to the field
and not to the office on Monday morning.
Okay. Did he specifically say where he needed to go on Monday morning?
No, I don't ask him for those sites. There's like Anadarko's got like thousands of sites. If he were to tell me, I wouldn't even
They're
know.
just like random numbers and stuff, right?
Well, he told me, he said, I got to go to a site. I got to go check out like a valve or something where they think that they had a release, something like that.
Did he mention the town or anywhere?
No. He just told me that that's what he had to go do. He's like, he was like, I won't see you in the office in the morning. Because I see him, but I don't actually like talk to him. Like I will go in the cafeteria, I will put my lunch in the fridge, and him and his whole team are sitting in there, and I don't talk to any of them. I just walk out. But anyways, yeah, he's like, so I won't see you. I'm going to the field, which is not an uncommon thing for the ops guys to like just go straight to the field. Like it happens. Like typically they go to the office, I would say like 3 or 4 days a week, but there are days where him and his other team members are not there. Or like I'll get in there and some days the cafeteria is packed and they're all there.
Okay.
And other days I get in there and there's only like 3 or 4 of them.
So it didn't cause you any concern that he's like,
No.
I'm going to the field on Monday, I won't see you. That wasn't,
No.
that's happened before.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
It wasn't something, and it's not just him. It's like that whole team. Like you can just tell when they've got like a lot going on because I'll walk in and there'll be like 2 of them as opposed to like 6 or 7.
Do you know what he did Sunday during the day?
I don't even know what I did on Sunday during the day. I am so tired. Let me just think about this. Daniel came over Friday. I hung out with him Saturday. And then Sunday,
When did Jim come in?
Monday.
Huh.
Jim got here Monday. What did I do on Sunday? I am like drawing a blank. I'm really tired. I don't know. Can I get back to you on that?
Did you guys have any conversations on Saturday night during your meal, what he might be doing on Sunday?
I'm sure we did. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank because I haven't slept.
If I say that he may have done something with his children, would that refresh
Oh, yes.
your memory?
He went to a birthday party.
Okay. Did you know whose house he was going to?
Nope. But I know that they had a water balloon fight.
Okay. He had one or his children?
His children did.
Okay.
He said he used to get really into it. He said he got like really interactive with his kids. He's like, some of the adults don't really spend a lot of time playing with the kids, but
We
I
went
always
to the
do.
museum on what day, Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Okay.
That's right. So that's what I was like, was I hanging out with you? God.
Very
So
memorable event, huh?
me
was,
and him and my stepmother and
wife
my
and-
sister
yeah.
went to the museum. And
What
that's
museum?
right. The Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And they went to brunch prior to that. And I skipped brunch. And I went to the gym.
You shouldn't have. It was good.
I had to do core day. That was the last time I worked out, actually.
That's
So
what we
did-
did Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, so core day, and then we went to the museum, and then
When did he tell you about the water balloon fight on Sunday evening during your conversation on the phone?
I think so.
Okay. So
think
you don't
so.
know whose house he went to on Sunday,
No.
but you knew it was for a child's birthday?
Yeah, and he had told me about that in advance, really. So I don't know if it was Saturday that he had told me that he was going to go that birthday or like Friday. I just remember he was like, I got to go to this birthday party
Okay.
with my kids.
Any other conversation that makes sense?
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm really tired. So I know there are certain things that I need to tell you guys that we'll get to as these days progress.
Yep.
But in all honesty, if it doesn't stand out to me now,
Today?
it probably
That's fine.
wasn't relevant.
What about that 9 o'clock thing you were telling me on Monday?
Oh, that he told me? Oh yeah, well we'll get there. We'll get there. We're still on Sunday.
So we're on
night.
Sunday.
We're
gonna get to-
literally-
we're gonna
I know,
get to-
This is gonna be a long.
We're gonna
night.
get there to Monday. We're getting there.
Ah,
So Sunday night or Sunday during the day, you had your own personal stuff going on
hmm.
with your family. You never see him on Sunday. Is that accurate?
No, I didn't see. What did I do the rest of the day? I came home. I think I might have just chilled at my house. I don't remember. I think I cleaned my house. I don't know. I didn't see him though.
And
Yeah, Saturday was the last time I saw him.
okay. Sunday, you're at home. You talk to him we know you have a conversation
Mhm.
in the late evening hours, and then you go to sleep on Sunday night.
Mhm.
When's the next time you talk with Chris?
Probably Monday morning.
Do you know what What time?
No, I mean, so we used to like randomly text each other like throughout the day, but we both get really busy. So some days like I don't hear a lot from him, and some days I don't text him until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm just like busy. And I remember I didn't hear a lot from him that day, which was like that's not out of the normal for either one of us during the day. But at one point, I do remember he like texted me and he's like, "Oh, it's been a really busy day," and then like said some other stuff, which I'm sure you will find in my text. What he said, I don't know. It wasn't obviously anything that was like alerting to me. But that's what I'm saying. Like at this point, like I remember really key things, but if it's like a conversation that I'm like, I don't remember exactly what was discussed, it's because it was probably just bullshit, like just talking to each other. Yeah.
Small talk stuff.
Yeah. But I remember he was busy that day and we didn't talk that much. And then I clocked out at 3 is what my time card says. That's what I was showing Mark the other day. And I got home to go meet my buddy. One of my good friends was coming over my house. And he actually has a key to my house. So he was actually there when I got there. And
who's that?
My friend Jim. And so Jim came over. And I got home, he was there, he had like just walked in the door. And I remember like briefly after he got there, I checked my texts. I mean, briefly after I met up with Jim, I like glanced at my texts and Chris said something about like my family's not home or like my wife and kids aren't home, like something to that effect. And I told Mark, because he asked me for a time, and I don't have an exact time, but I remember it was like right after I walked.
That was a text message, though.
Yeah, it's in a text, and it's like it was like briefly after I walked in the door. So based off how long it takes me to get home from work and when I clocked out, it's probably about 3:45 p.m. Texts me and tells me that, and like he knows when I get off of work too, so he doesn't always bug me if I'm busy. So I don't know what's up with that, but that's when he sends that to me. And
so you're saying that he would have known that you would have had your phone available to you and not been at work when he sent you that text message.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
So looking back at it, you think it was purposefully sent at that time?
I'm sure.
I'm just asking your feeling on that.
Yes, and then he said, "Call me when you can." And I was
there was
like,
no other communication between you and him that morning on Monday morning.
Well, there was, but it was like random, like.
But nothing about this event.
No.
About like my wife's missing or anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
And you knew he wasn't coming to the office because he had told you that Sunday night.
Yeah, and then he goes, and so like they're only in the office for the morning. Like
right.
Some days it's longer than others, but I would say by a maximum of 7:30 every single morning they're all gone, and they don't come back unless they have like a meeting or something that they have to attend. So like not seeing him for the rest of the day is not like an unnormal thing. Okay. Like, but like I'm saying, like we don't really. The only reason we interact was kind of like by an off chance thing. Like I don't work with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he, we talked like randomly throughout the day, but it was really sporadic and he seemed pretty busy. So we didn't talk too much. Like I said, didn't put too much thought into it. It happens all the time. Waited till about 3:45, then sent that text to me. And yes, he does know that I will be home at that point or getting home.
Did you give Mark Jim's information?
No, I would really not like to involve him in this. Okay. He does not know about this. He doesn't know any of this is occurring.
Okay.
Like I was literally.
So he knows certainly through the media that something's occurred.
Yeah, he's
with
like
Chris.
Out of town. He's probably has no idea. He doesn't know who Chris is. Like he's not. I do not know.
So he's just a friend of yours.
Yes.
He does that was coming to your apartment and doesn't know anything about Chris. Does he know anything about Chris?
No, nothing. Absolutely
not. We've known Jim for years and years.
You're not dating him or anything like that?
No, he's like one of my very good friends. Like my dad knows him. He's a great guy. He works out of state a lot. So when he's in town, we hang out. But when he's in town and he's off of work to save time. So I give him the key to my house, one, because I trust him and he's one of my best friends. And two, because sometimes he will just meet me there
because I'll be like, hey, I'm getting off of work. And then if I get stuck in traffic or something, he ends up like sitting outside of my apartment waiting for me to get off of work. So I'm like, here's a key. And like my dog loves him and stuff. So no, he's not.
So he's just
involved
family
with it.
friends.
Yes, I don't even
The only
know.
reason I ask, and I'm not really concerned about your location. I think we already have your cell phone records. At some point, did Mark ask you to supply? Did they ask for consent to get cell phone records? That'll probably be done by warrant. If we
Isn't
wanted,
that what you just did?
nope. What I'm talking about is your movement
Oh.
by GPS or by cell phone tower to show where you were. Obviously, and I don't want to cause you concern. We want to know where you were that day too. You're dating a man who did some egregious stuff, and we want to show that you were never near him that day. Period.
I mean, you guys
So-
can track my
No,
stuff.
yeah, I mean that was something we will have to get a warrant for, anyways. I'm just saying, if we asked for it, would you have any
Yeah,
objections to that?
No, you can have
Right.
it.
So,
I'm
we'll-
a pretty boring person.
well,
I
it
don't
sounds
go
like
to
you
many
just went to
places.
work that day, and then you came home and you were there at 3:45.
Yeah, like
On
give or
Monday.
take like 5
Yeah,
minutes.
whatever.
But yeah, so 3:45. I meet Jim there. Yeah, I would
And
totally
so
re-
Jim is understand from an investigative point, he could be a person who could say, yeah, I was there at 3:45. He doesn't know Chris. He doesn't know anything. He could say with one phone call, yeah, she came in at 3:45, done.
Totally.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't have to ask anything more than, hi, Chris, my name's Kevin. Or Jim. And I'm
Just
not
leave
saying you have to
Jim
give it to
alone.
you.
Just leave Jim
But
alone.
if
Jim does
at
not need
some
to be wrapped
point-
up in this.
If at some point I needed Jim's info to, let's say we couldn't find your phone records, would you
You
tell me
can
who
have
Jim
them.
was?
I will give them to you.
Would you tell me who Jim was if I
If
couldn't
you
get him?
had to.
Okay.
I don't really want to
Great.
involve him in this. So it's not
Perfect.
fair to him. That's not, no, if I do not have to do that.
That's fine.
Yeah, so anyways, Chris was like, call me.
Jim's a big burly boy. He can handle himself. Okay, so I was taking some notes here because I did the timeline of truth as opposed to the law enforcement DA's office timeline, but I wanted to hear really carefully everything that Nicole Kessinger said there. Now, some things I would have pointed out if I wasn't so focused on taking notes and listening carefully is that, well, that whole bit about, oh yeah, well, we didn't really talk about anything of importance on Monday, and not until like 3:45, and I got this message and my family's not here. Well, we do know from getting the second half of the August 21st phone interview with Kevin Kobach, where the audio cuts off halfway through. I promise you, well, I put the video out about this. It is very shortly after the audio cuts out. Nicole Kessinger talks about how it was really suspect that Chris Potts went right out to the field on Monday. She didn't really believe that he was there. And in fact, that she was still on the phone with him when he sent her the picture that was in response to her demand to him to send proof of where he really was. That if he was really out at Survey 319, that she needed to have proof that he was there, because obviously for some reason she didn't believe him, or it was important enough that she wanted to see some actual physical evidence. So she says on 2 occasions, and certainly this is by accident, while she's being interviewed by Kevin Kobach, it's that phone interview, but you won't hear this on audio because it only exists in transcript form, curiously enough, just like the second half of the August 17th phone interview or whatever it is with Kevin Kobach. Once again, mysteriously, the audio cuts off, and it's right after that, just like 30 seconds or so in that case, they start talking about stuff that is really interesting and like a little bit controversial for sure, and maybe scandalous. But it's 2 times when she is talking to Kobach on the phone. She says, well, yeah, I was still on the phone with him when he sent those pictures. And she goes on to describe the evidence that Chris Watts sent her when she demanded proof on Monday morning. Yes, that same Monday morning of the murders, that he was actually at Survey 319. Really, really interesting. So her timeline leading up to that and after that, according to her, is compared to what it is we now know from all the cumulative effort of all of us being so interested in this case and everybody doing their work to find out actual information. is definitely askew. So we will be looking at that. Not tonight though, because we've been on for over 2 hours. But yeah, it's, I don't know, man. Yeah. And, McJay just asked to not like mention other channels in chat unless I like give the okay for it. And it's not because I'm trying to be, anything like nasty or whatever. I love to support other creators, as most of you know. So there's that. Sometimes there's things going on with creators, not necessarily with myself or my channel creators, but sometimes it might be known to some people that certain creators are pushing out narratives that are for reasons that are other than the reason that we're all here now, which is to find the truth. I have no idea what channel name were even mentioned. This is not pertaining to anybody. I just want you guys to understand why that is. So we don't want to be promoting bullshit on this channel. There's enough of it going around, right? We don't need to help with that effort. We're trying to help with other efforts. She lied about the time she called Watts back, which can be easily checked. Yeah, I know. I had just noticed that because I'm sitting here looking at the phone records too. As I was listening to her saying that, I wonder why that is, because she knows perfectly. She knows well exactly when everything happened over those days. My friend Jim, who never visited for the entire month of July. Well, Chris Watts was there and he was there every day and every night. Really good point. Yeah, she clocked out around 3 and she never clocked in. That's right. That is correct. Think for Yourself says to Donna, there are several times during the interviews that had inappropriate and unprofessional taunting from laughing from law enforcement. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, hell yeah, good call. I was just noticing in this, I didn't mention it, but I was thinking about it when, he says, so we're going to be then getting, the your texts and the phone calls and those, and also those pictures that cause you some negative word. And he chuckles about it and he laughs about that yet another time. Now, yes, this is Nicole Kessinger, so maybe we would kind of overlook that thinking, or kind of without, thinking this overtly. So what if he's being like nasty to her? She's a skanky empanada. She's been nasty to everyone else. Who cares? Well, we do care. I know if that was myself and, I had pictures on my phone like that and I knew law enforcement was going to be looking at them. And the person that I talked to was, was like kind of like sneering and laughing about it, I would feel extremely uncomfortable. It's not appropriate and it's not okay. I don't know if that's what you guys were referring to, Megan and Donna, but yeah, I mean, there are really like a lot of instances where there is inappropriate laughter or other kind of comments or sounds from law enforcement. Super good point. Trying to find Barbara's, who is it? No, Donna. I'm sorry, Donna. Geez. Trying to find Donna's initial comment there. Donna and okay, gotcha. There's a few you talking about the same thing. And I can't find it. So yeah, but anyway, super good point. Sherry's been a member for 3 months. We love Sherry. How are you doing, girl? So Jim came to her house and he left. No, she says that he stayed until, like later that evening, like 9 or 10 or something like that. Yeah. We should all flood work with hate mail. Well, fortunately, Think for Yourself is here and she thinks for herself and she thinks well. And she made the suggestion that there might be a big enough platform of people who are feeling a similar way about this case where perhaps we can actually affect some, real change and make a difference in this case. And we're going to talk about, she has some ideas about how we can make our voices heard on this issue of incomplete justice for the victims here. Yeah. And she says the letters are pointless, unfortunately. Might make us feel better, right? But we do, I mean, how wonderful would it be to actually, make something happen here, make something good happen here. Kitty says, Kitty hates crap. Oh, I love that. Kitty hates crap. The only time Kobach says something sensible, we need to know your movements. Yeah, there's very few of those sensible, moments of lucidity from Kobach, that's for sure. Laura says, Nicole Kessinger's allowed to tell law enforcement how to run the investigation. Yeah, she and her dad. Ice Queen points out that in one of the interviews, Chris Watts said that the camping trip was the beginning of the end for him. Is that right? I don't remember that, but I remember something like, but there's so much to remember. He felt like God had given him a couple of ways out. Yeah. And he talks about, if he had not gone to Lazy Dog that night, he had gone to the game with his friend instead. I mean, he definitely feels there were some things that could have played out differently that would have caused a different outcome. And who would know better than him? I mean, I believe him on that. I just want to know more details. You did just involve him by mentioning him. Yeah, seriously. Right. I mean, right. I mean, he does not need to be involved in this. Well, he's a big burly boy. I'm sure he can handle it. Being asked to provide an alibi for his best girlfriend whose home he has a key to enter. I don't know. So this is a good, a talking point here. So media says to Joanne, don't overthink it. I'm not sure what the initial comment was. She didn't commit the crime. She was the cause. She had no idea this would happen. She didn't know that Chris Watts was an evil drone of a person with zero intelligence. Well, I do agree that he's an evil drone of a person with zero intelligence, for sure. I do also agree that she was the cause, but I think that she had more, I absolutely believe she had more awareness and willing causality. Is that even a term? I'm making it up. Willing causality in this tragedy happening. I personally believe that. But this is where people might have difference of opinions. And it's good that we can talk about them here. Leave Jim alone equals Jim might spill too many beans. Yes. Or Jim's not smart enough to follow my directions. Or he's not compliant enough, perhaps. Mr. Garlic Man says, if Jim does not know about this, and I am an astronaut. Right. Something like those odds. I haven't got my story straight, Jim. Good night, Ashley. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. It's always wonderful to see you here. Right, exactly. I don't want him to be involved because if they investigate him, they might find some evidence that could implicate him and her in, something more than she wants to be implicated in. Yeah, she has no alibi that we know of. That's for sure. When did she ask for a picture? Monday morning when he was at Survey 319. Yes, my email is Watts Obsession at gmail.com. No, the just Watts Obsession at gmail.com. Yes, please email me. Please, please. I would love to, let's figure something out. And there's no record of her call in the phone log. Well, okay, so that is where we have to ask the question. I also wholeheartedly believe that they were also communicating over a third-party app. Depending on what that app is, think of all the, third-party apps through which you can communicate. I know for myself, some of them are like phone calls, some of them are texting, some of them are more like video calls, right? So I feel pretty certain that that is just more evidence of them communicating through a third-party app that she is absolutely trying to make sure that law enforcement never finds out about. My God, of all things, right? Here, let me see if I have. Yeah, I've got this interview right in my playlist here. So I'm just gonna, and this will be, kind of like moving toward the end of it. I'm just gonna pop in that part of the August 21st phone interview. It's the redacted part, so it's just going to be me reading it, but it is a transcript. I show you the transcript in the video of when she mentions asking for proof of Watts being at Survey 319 and, all that jazz. Okay. What? Wait a minute. Just want you to, I want the volume to turn off, please. Is it doing that? What? Okay. It's weird. It keeps jumping me over to, that's so weird. Okay, try this. Maybe I have too much going on here. Let's see. What the heck? That's so weird. Make it smaller.
Yep. So when we FaceTimed, and we FaceTimed, so he didn't show up for work. He did show up for work on Monday, but supposedly he was in the field. And then Monday evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when Chris and I spoke on the phone, and that.
No, gotta go back.
If you're doing that, they want to get the team out there and clean up whatever. Somebody would have had to call and said, there's because of how safe they are. So with that being said, so now I'm remembering this just now. And he's like, I think I gotta go do a lockout tag out on some of that equipment for the release.
So
would
this
that
is
be something that would have
telling her about why he has to go right out to Survey 319 rather than to the office on Monday morning, supposedly.
Been tracked? Certainly. There's a lot of paperwork and safety requirements and all sorts of things with each site. So if he was actually going to do a lockout tagout, would that be something that I'd be able to look up at record at Anadarko and know that he.
Hey, Guilty of Crime. How are you doing, my friend? Kelly, thanks for all of your information. It's so helpful to fill in the blanks. Awesome. Well, it's great to see you. I hope you're doing well, my darling. And everybody, Guilty of Crime was on panel. I think maybe it was like the last Watts Live. Anyway, I sent y'all over to her channel. If you hadn't already found it yourselves, many of you already found it yourselves. It's a great channel. She's covering true crime cases, as you can tell with the name Guilty of Crime. And it's Jay, not Jai, but Jay. And we just love Jay. She's awesome. So everybody definitely go check out Guilty of Crime. And thank you so much. And it's great to see you, my friend.
He was actually assigned to do that. To be honest with you, probably. Again, I did not work with him. But if there's one thing that I do know about Anadarko, and I love, and I'm going to miss those guys so much, it's the fact that they're very
Don't let
safe.
the door hit you in the ass on the way out, Kessinger.
They're one of the best oil and gas companies because of how safe they are. So with that being said, I would be willing to bet that there's typically, well, like you, a protocol. Right. So I mean that there would have to be a known problem for him to do a lockout tagout, right? Yes. So yes. Somebody would have had to call and said, there's a, in your guys' words, release at the site. Then some boss or whoever it may be would call Chris and say, hey Chris, I need you to go check this out. If you're a skilled equipment operator, you make the decision. You lock it out if you have to. Then the environmental team comes and cleans it up. So there's got to be like a track. Yep. Record of all that's going on. I'm assuming that there's probably is because lockout, tagout. Because I mean, it's to save lives, so it's a very serious thing. Right. It's a safety thing. And like certainly certain people, yeah, and like only certain people are authorized. And like I couldn't lock out, tag out something like I don't have right that certification. Plus you're shutting down. It's not a piece of equipment that makes money. So yes. Somebody wants to know that, right? Yes. Somebody there, yes. There is a, I mean, it's a business. I'm just trying to think as a business person how they would do that, because certainly if you're doing that, they want to get the team out there and clean up whatever is going on as soon as possible. So they can get that piece of equipment back in order and running so they can continue to pump oil. Understood. Well, and to the other thing too is he hadn't even looked at the site yet. So it's like, how do you know that you need to do a lockout tagout? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's noted unintelligible. I mean, I would like to, it's something for me to investigate. I'm just kind of trying to get because you obviously know a lot. Yeah, more about the oil industry. I don't know anything about it. That makes sense to me. And that's good. So that's good. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even think of that till just now. So anyways, that is a question for Anadarko. That's not a question for me. Yup. So he told me he was gonna have to do that, and I was like, all right, cool. So he didn't show up for work. I mean, well, he did show up for work on Monday, but supposedly he was in the field. And then Monday evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when Chris and I spoke on the phone in that first really extended conversation. Again, I don't know exactly what time it was. It was late, but that first really extended conversation, that's when he started kind of all that really creepy stuff. And then in that conversation, I started questioning him. And I was like, do you really, I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I asked him, I was like, did you really go to a job site this morning? And he was like, yeah. I was like, and who told you to go there? And I think he said his foreman had asked him to go, either him or his co-cowing man is this guy named Troy. I don't know Troy. I don't even know what he looks like, but I do know he exists. So I guess their foreman relies on Chris and Troy to kind of run their little part of the field. And so Chris was like, yeah, my foreman asked either he or Troy go out there and go look at it. And do you know the foreman's name? I don't. He's got a few of them, I think. Okay. I want to say that's okay. I want to say Luke Epple, but I don't know. You're going to need to find that out with Anadarko too. Okay. That's an Anadarko question. That's all right. And I know who, but Luke is, and I know who Troy is, so probably have already answered that. Okay. All right. Yes. Great. So, so I told him to prove it because at this point, I mean, the things he'd been saying, like the sheets was kind of weird. You know what it was? It was a wedding ring comment that freaked me out. Like the sheets did, like was kind of weird at the time. The fact that I thought he had just lied to me about their separation, but it was like the wedding ring comment. Like he was so. I don't know. I was on mute, but here she was just asking. I don't remember what I was talking about, but she was just talked about how she was asking for proof of where he was, and there it goes on. So he didn't show up for work. I mean, well, he did show up for work on Monday, but supposedly he was in the field. And then Monday evening, after my friend Jim left, that's when Chris and I spoke on the phone in that first really extended conversation. Again, I don't know exactly what time it was. It was late, but that first really extended conversation, that's when he started kind of all that really creepy stuff. And then in that conversation, I started questioning him. And I was like, do you really? I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I asked him, I was like, did you really go to a job site this morning? And he was like, yeah. I was like, and who told you to go there? And I think he said his foreman had asked him to go, either him or his like co-cowing man is this guy named Troy. I don't know Troy. I don't even know what he looks like, but I do know he exists. So I guess their foreman relies on Chris and Troy to kind of like run their little part of the field. And so Chris was like, yeah, my foreman asked either he or Troy go out there and go look at it. And do you know the foreman's name? I don't. He's got a few of them, I think. Okay. I want to say that's okay. I want to say Luke Apple, but I don't know. You're going to need to find that out with Anadarko too. Okay. That's an Anadarko question. That's all right. And I know who, but Luke is, and I know who Troy is, so probably have already answered that. Okay. All right. Yes. Great. So, so I told him to prove it because at this point, I mean, the things he'd been saying, like the sheets was kind of weird. You know what it was? It was a wedding ring comment that freaked me out. Like the sheets did, like was kind of weird at the time. The fact that I thought he had just lied to me about their separation, but it was like the wedding ring comment. Like he was so callous. Like he was just ready to like cash it in and get some money. You were telling me. And I was just like, him to prove what? To prove that they had told him to go to the field right away. Okay, so, and he's like, how do you want me to do that? And I was like, you take screenshots of your Anadarko phone and you text them to me. And did he do that? And yes, he did. Okay, all right. And he didn't send me the whole conversation, but there was 2 pictures of a release followed intermittently, like there was text like on either side of the picture. And it looked, I didn't get everything. He just sent me like part of their conversation, and I didn't have dates and times on either. Like you couldn't see the dates and times of what he was sending me. So he could have been sending me something that was like not recent. It could have been something from like weeks ago and I wouldn't have known, but he sent it to me and he sent it quick. Like it just like instantaneously when I asked him for it, like I was still on the phone with him and right. Then I looked at it while I was still on the phone and it made sense of what he'd been saying, but okay. The only thing in there, yeah, like it almost looked like someone else was originally going to go to that site and it looked like the conversation, someone I interpreted it, the conversation that had with his foreman and with Troy or whoever was in that conversation, it looked like the conversation had occurred probably at some point over the weekend. And then it looked like Troy, I think, or somebody else in the field was originally going to go out there first thing on Monday, and he told them not to worry about it and that he would do it. Okay. And I don't know the exact words. Like, I don't have the whole conversation. Again, it's something that you need to go to Anadarko for that. Yep. Okay. What's next? And yes, well, then that was, and that conversation, that's the end of that. And then, okay. What else? Okay. And then that same night, remember I told you we had that one big phone conversation that you and me just discussed. Then we FaceTime for like 2 minutes, right? And then we had another big phone conversation. Yep. So when we FaceTimed, I don't know. I don't know if it's relevant, but like you say, just say it anyways. He was wearing a black wife beater. I think it was black. And I told you guys that he was laying on a mattress that had no sheets. And so I've been in his house, but I've never been in his kids' room or the room where his wife slept. Like, I went upstairs once, but it was back to that little playroom where all the books are at, right? But I did not go into any of the rooms up there, like, ever. But I remember that time I did go upstairs. The bedroom door to the upstairs bedroom, like the main room, was open, and I really I didn't want to look, but like just when I was walking by, I just noticed they have like a really big bed. Like it was like tall, pillory, just like a big bed frame. So I don't really know exactly what it looked like. I just looked like a quick glance or whatever. It's just like, that looks really big and nice, Sure. But again, I didn't go in there, so I didn't get like a good view of it. But I noticed that the night that we were FaceTiming, I was trying to figure out where the hell he was, because I was like, he was laying down talking to me, and he didn't have any sheets on the bed. But the background didn't look like the basement. And I've seen the basement, and I've seen the bed in the basement. Like, I've seen his little dwelling area down there, and it didn't look like that. And I saw, it kind of looked like he was laying down and he had the phone like facing him, but you could kind of see in the background, like the bed. And it looked like a really elegant, really tall bed frame. So you think it was a master bedroom? Yes, I do. Okay. I think it was. I didn't ask, but I'm assuming it was. And just no sheets on there. Okay. Like, I remember the mattress. If I remember properly, I think it was blue, but I don't remember 100%. But he was just like laying on it in a black wife beater. And I just remember like seeing this. And again, like, I've never been in the room, so I don't know. Okay. 100% like, oh, that was it. It kind of looked like something very elegant, and it definitely was not in the basement. Okay, what's next? Keeping you on track. I'm trying to go in order. I think that's it. Okay. I think that's all I've got. So I asked you a couple of questions when I was driving, when we talked earlier today, and since we weren't, on tape, I'm just going to ask, okay, which was when I called you after we looked at your phone download and told you that the messages you deleted like right now, they don't look like, I can't see them, so I'm trying to recover them. Like I told you though, some computer forensics. We'll see if we can get that done. But one of the questions I had for you was if you ever had social media, and you said you did not. So no, you don't use. I don't. I any social media. You've never used Facebook or Facebook Messenger with Chris? No, nothing. I never used any social media with him at all. I have LinkedIn when him and I first started hanging out for business purposes, but it was something like I was like never on. And then honestly, once all of this news media stuff and everything started happening, I deleted the LinkedIn. So that's it. It's harder for these people to try to come track me down and ask me a million questions. But
Okay, so now she's like talking about her social media. So you guys probably caught there where, you know, she said that she asked for proof. She said she was on the phone when he sent her pictures. And, you know, it's just a whole lot of information that doesn't fit together. And it's a whole lot of lies from Nicole Kessinger specifically that are exposed. Now, is Chris Watts liar? Hell yeah. But I don't know. I don't have anything more to say about that because I feel like it's not going to come out right. And I do not want to be wrong on the books regarding what I say about Chris Watts' culpability in this case, because he is you know, all horrible things. I have no more words, guys. I'm tired. Let's see. Okay. Nancy says, I think it was debunked that he was there or that wasn't definite. I have to ask Kelly. It was one of those things that everyone made assumptions that Muck was. So I know what you're talking about. Jim being at the sand dunes, right? So it is my thought after looking pretty well into this. I mean, you know, there is circumstantial information. Who was paying on that Venmo transaction? I can't remember that. And Tara Ryan, where you could say, yeah, you know, I think Jim was there. The evidence that's been put out that is supposed to be like concrete evidence, you know, to my eyes and ears and follow-up research wasn't truly like concrete evidence. When Kevin Kolbach asked about Jim, there's a picture of this guy and it's not Chris Watts. He asks, wow, they are, yes, talking about the sand dunes trip, but he doesn't say, and I've listened to this so carefully so many times, and this person is at the sand dunes. You know, so, you know, whether if he was there or not, I personally do not know. No more words. That's I know, right? Thank you. Yeah, no more words. No more, almost no more words. Let's see. Very slim chance indeed. A whole lot of. Let's see. The phone forensics in this case was a joke. There was so much that was available to them that they did not take advantage of. Yeah, absolutely. Why can I? Well, I can't type anymore. No words, no ability to type, no nothing left. Yes, please do hit the like button. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for being there. And yeah, definitely email me. Think for yourself. I definitely want to talk about your ideas and a number of other things. And moderators, thank you so much. Subscribers, members, people just stopping by to say hi. Go ahead and subscribe. You might want to come back, and we definitely want you to come back. And please remember to lock your windows and your doors because it's just a good practice. And life is hard, so please, please, please be nice to each other for God's sake. And most of all, please be good to yourself because I know you deserve it. You do deserve it. You do deserve it. That's right, you do. And I really appreciate you guys. So, oh, awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. You're on top of it, as we know. Kurt Stacey, it's great to see you. I hope you're doing awesome.
The whole investigation was blundered by so many things. Absolutely. Never was there such an accurate statement. Well, there was a few that were accurate statements of that caliber, but that is definitely an accurate statement, Kurt Stacy. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Well, thank you, Mr. Garlic Man. That is quite a flattering comment, I think. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. So yeah. We're going to have to keep talking about this real timeline thing because, well, now that Think for Yourself has some idea of how we might be able to contact the powers that be and see if we can get this case, elements of it reinvestigated. We've got to lay all the important stuff out there. I don't have any more words to explain it. Go back to whatever I said in the beginning of this video about that, because that's what I meant. I'm just tired now, guys. I'm tired. Oh gosh. Hey, J Lord, thank you. Yeah, she is pretty nasty. Kelly, sorry for the nasty lady said that rambles. Yeah, I know. That was so out of the blue. Like, seriously. Hi, Karen G. How are you doing? Good night. Can we protest at the election of the DA? When is it? Yeah, absolutely. We could do that. That can be done. I'm not going to do it because I don't think it'll be possible. It's probably right around. Is it one of the November slated elections? Or is it? And I don't know. We can look into that and find out. Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. But yeah, I mean, he's freaking horrendous. I don't know. After hearing him on his wife's podcast, I have a whole new ugh for him. I was never really too much on his case before. I mean, I think that he didn't do his job well, but now I'm on his case. Look out, Rourke. I'm on your case. That's possible. Laura says, I think they have blackmail material on CW at the camping trip. Maybe that's why he took the fall for the crime. I mean, how bad could the blackmail material be, though, to take a fall for the, you know what I mean? But I mean, I've heard that speculated before, and I mean, it certainly is possible, but my mind can't wrap around that personally, but you never know. There's a lot of questions that we do not know answers to in this case. And that's why, people fighting over it, just don't do that, guys, because none of us know truly most things having to do with this case. Yeah, thank you, McJay. Please check out Kelly's lives on the Micah case. Please do. Yeah, and remember, if you do want to contribute to Micah Miller's family's legal fund, it is super simple website, justiceformicah.com. And there's going to be more to come on that because it's an important case, just as far as awareness of domestic abuse, how to get help if you are in a situation of domestic abuse, and also suicide prevention. And gosh, a number of other issues. There's some big human issues that come up in discussing this case that need to be discussed. So we're going to discuss it. Yeah. All right, guys. Love ya. Everyone have a good night, and I hope to see you really soon.